Pranesh M, one of India's brightest rising stars. Dmitry Andreikin, a battle-hardened grandmaster. Nihal Sarin, a speed chess sensation, lightning fast with razor-sharp tactical instincts. Hans Niemann, bold, fearless and unpredictable. Alireza Firouzja, a fearless super grandmaster, unleashing creativity, aggression and world-class brilliance. Arjun Erigaisi, India's attacking powerhouse, bringing explosive chess and an unbreakable fighting spirit. Nodirbek Abdusatorov, the Uzbek prodigy, combining ice-cold precision with championship-winning composure. Gukesh Dromaraju, the youngest world champion, fearless, relentless, and ready to conquer every challenge.
Minutes. Sahaj, I mean, we know who the special guest is today, right? It's Vishy Anand. I mean, he's a 5-time world champion. I mean, that's going to inspire all the players to bring their A game today.
Of course, because Vishy said, the godfather of Indian chess is here to, watch your games. Of course, it's going to be an important thing for all of the players, not just the Indian players, of course, all of them. Which game are you the most excited about for this time?
Oof, I think we've seen very interesting dynamics in terms of colors, right? So, for example, all the Indians had black the day before yesterday. Then they had white. And today, finally, that pattern breaks because we'll have Arjun, who will have double white, and he's playing Pranesh. So, two Indians battling it out. We know Firouzja is in the lead still, and he plays Hans Niemann, a wounded Hans Niemann who lost his first game yesterday. So I think all bets are off. Arjun with a golden opportunity to take the lead. And for example, if Hans defeats Firouzja and Arjun defeats Pranesh, suddenly we have a new tournament leader.
Exactly. And Firouzja is playing with the black pieces. So of course, Hans is going to try to put some pressure on his opponent. And there could be some problems, at the top of the leaderboard. And Arjun having a golden opportunity against Pranesh. But Pranesh is, I think, severely underrated. So we cannot count him out. I think he can pull off. I think he's going to pull off an upset here. When that's going to be, I don't know. But I think for sure there's going to be an upset incoming. But let's talk about the main matchup as well for us, which is the world champion going up against Nodirbek, Uzbek #1. What are your thoughts on that?
I think to even, remotely understand this rivalry, we have to go 4 years back to that insane Olympiad match between these two. Gukesh completely winning against Nodirbek, potentially leading his team to gold. But then that comeback from Nodirbek, winning the match for his team and then taking his team to gold instead. And Gukesh, of course, won the gold 2 years later. So now this rivalry is building up. Of course, we'll see it again in this Olympiad. But right now, it's the precursor to the Olympiad, Sahaj. And Nodirbek has the white pieces. So maybe a slight edge there.
When it's Nodirbek and Gukesh, I think white or black does not matter. I think we're just going to have a very, very complicated fight between these two players. And that's what, I'm super, super excited about. And finally, we have Dmitry Andreikin going up against Nihal Sarin. That's the last matchup. Nihal with the black pieces, Andreikin with the white pieces. Yesterday, Andreikin was playing black against Gukesh. He had, let's say, more or less an easier draw. What do you think are his expectations? Do you think he tries to play for a win against Nihal? Does he try to keep it solid? What's the approach?
I think Hendrickson stays solid. He stays true to what his style is. And if Nihal offers him an opportunity, maybe some opening prep coming out from Dimitri Hendrickson, there could be chances. But I have full faith in Nihal Sarin's opening ability. We saw again yesterday him playing some fascinating, pickleball, I think, and of course some amazing chess as well. So all the 4 games will be exciting. If we can have the standings on screen, it would be nice to see who's leading the event. I think it was Firuzja at the start, just 2 wins right off the bat, Sahaj, kind of proving a point. He's one of the top players in the world still. And of course, then Arjun with that important win yesterday against Hans Niemann, trying to catch up with the tournament leader. And then we see, of course, both, Gukesh and Hans on 1 point at the bottom of the scoreboard. They must be looking forward to their first wins.
Absolutely. And those 2 losses, I think we have Firuza and Arjun to, kind of blame for that. I mean, not blame, but they are the reason for that, because apart from Alireza and Arjun, nobody has won a game so far, because all the other games have been a peaceful, well, not so peaceful draw, but still a draw. But I think today could be a day where we see very, very exciting chess. I think I'm most excited about Nodirbek versus Gukesh, have to say.
I have to agree as well. And I think Gukesh so far maybe he's not fully satisfied with the kind of positions he's gotten with the white pieces, the kind of defense he's shown with the black pieces. His time management also has not been perfect. But I think we've seen him, show signs of that, typical Gukesh, the guy who is the world champion indeed. He has this aura around him. Sahaj, the aura we often see sometimes when he's playing some amazing chess. There he is at the board, adjusting his pieces, waiting for his arch nemesis Nodirbek to arrive as well. And what opening do you expect in this game? Because I think it's a all stakes match, and if Nodirbek wins, he's again fighting for the leaderboard.
Last time, if memory serves me right, the last time these players faced each other with this color was, I believe, in Menorca Masters, where Nodirbek, there we see handshakes. Let's go. And last time, I think he went for something like English. It was a weird, offbeat setup where Nodirbek got a worse position with the white pieces. No surprise there, because the first 2 rounds were kind of similar for Nodirbek there. I think he's known for getting into sort of worse positions and then fighting his way back. But that's what Gukesh is known for as well. So gonna be fun. But I think, in terms of Gukesh, I think so far the tournament, yes, you can say he had a loss against Firuza, but it was it all came down to that 1 pawn move, the H pawn that we see. He played H5, he had to go H6. And I think as far as time management goes, in the first round, he was in time trouble, but he managed that really well. In the second round, I think it all came down to, he had seconds for so many moves, yet he didn't give up. But that H6 or H5 was the reason why he lost. But yes, the third round, that I think was a bit too fast for a draw.
And to be honest, even Nodirbek, I think, has survived a couple of squares. I think he will not be satisfied with his performance either. I think he could totally have lost 2 games by now if luck had not gone his way. He, of course, fought back with resilience, but at least the opening and the starting middle game has not been up to the typical Nodirbek standards. So he would love to show, some great opening prep today with the white pieces. He's played 2 whites already, and I would say the kind of positions he's gotten have been kind of disappointing to his standards. So I think let's see what happens today. Important game between these 2 rivals. We'll see this again at the Olympiad. Sahaj, predictions is I'm going to put you on spot.
It's a dangerous situation. It's a very, very dangerous thing to call, because Nodirbek has had a very good score against Gukesh in recent times. So he has had, at least this year, I think he has had a very good score against Gukesh so far. But I have this theory as well that Nodirbek, you say that his preparation is not the best. I think to some extent it's also on purpose, because, once you get into those worst positions and you fight back, I think we have seen Nodirbek do this successfully so many times that I think that it is on purpose. So after move 10 in this game, my prediction is that Gukesh is going to have a slight advantage.
Wow, let's see. So what you're basically saying is Nodirbek is taking more risk, because I think he knows that he has the ability to come back as well if needed. So important game there. We are just a minute away from liftoff. And of course, we're going to soon have the 5-time world champion join us as well. And Nodirbek, a complete change in attire today. I think he was wearing a suit every single day, but now maybe he's a bit more relaxed. Yeah, I think he's also changing his approach a bit.
Exactly. I think he's playing with the white pieces. He's wearing lighter colors. I think that's that could be one of the reasons. But question for you, Sahil. Between Nodirbek and Gukesh, who is a bigger risk taker for you?
I think both of them are huge risk takers, but I think Gukesh recently has been taking risks where maybe it's not required. And there we see Vishy Anand, the 5-time world champion, enter the playing hall, the beautiful playing hall, and he'll be making the ceremonial move. And so yesterday it was Goofy Jen Chess who played H3 and A3. maybe Vishisar might play e4 or d4 instead. Yeah, complete change.
100%. Yes. I mean, I'm expecting e4 because that is Rishi Sir's go-to weapon. I think that's what he's going to go for. And he's on Arjun's board against Pranesh. Oh, wow. He goes for c4. Wow. The English opening. England did win the third place match against France. That could be one of the reasons why Vishy sir has gone for c4.
Indeed. And let's not forget, all the Indian talent you see right now would simply not exist without the inspiration that one man has provided to the entire nation. That is Vishy sir here in front of us. And again, I think we see him in action. He's going to come here, interact with the fans, and maybe inspire the next generation as well, Sahed. So the legacy just continues.
Absolutely. Very, very excited. By the way, I saw Arjun kind of take that pawn back
quickly,
instantly. So we know that English is not going to happen on this board, by the way, because generally you leave the pawn if that was part of your plan, but that was a bit too fast, I think, for Arjun.
Agreed. And there we see, we're going to have the first move very quickly. Let's go to Gukesh's board if possible, actually. We'll love to see the initial. Oh, we have the first move already. Pawn to d4 by Nodirbek.
Wow, so we have the queen's pawn opening, and then Gukesh goes for knight to f6, white plays c4, and now comes the big question. Do you go for the Nimzo Queen's Indian variations, or do you go for King's Indian with g6? Gukesh goes for e6, so now it's up to Nodirbek, Nimzo or Queens. Sahil bhai, quick decision.
I think Nimzo, I think maybe.
I think Nimzo is more kind of forcing, so he can try to get him. Oh no, but he goes for the Queen's Indian approach there. Now Gukesh has a choice to play d5 or b6. If he plays d5, that would be in QGD territory, and now the ball is once again in Nodirbek's court. He goes for knight c3, and that is exactly QGD. Now comes the question: Ragozin, Semi-Slav, Vienna, QGD, so many different options that Gukesh has, even a6 with the Janovsky setup. Which one does he chooses? A lot of these, moves that I have mentioned have a solid approach, barring, I would say, Vienna, which is pawn takes c4, which is a little bit more dynamic in nature. But let's see what Gukesh is going to go for here. He's taking his time.
I think usually we've seen Ragozin as, one of his favorite choices here. So I expect him to play the same, but also something maybe Nodirbek is well prepared for, right? So he's taking his little time thinking about the options he has. He has multiple. He can play b6. He can play bishop b4, bishop e7, c6. So an important choice. This move will dictate the structure of the position for the moves to come. Gukesh kind of, releasing his collar a bit, relaxing. Let's see what he plays, Sahaj.
I think he has to take his time, but this does mean that Gukesh has not looked at this maybe on the day before. So he is taking his time to see, out of all the variations that I know here, which one should I go for?
Yeah.
And I think, if I had to predict one, I think you can also play Semi-Slav with c6. You can play bishop e7. That is normal QGD. Very, very solid approach. You can play Ragozin with bishop b4. So many different options you have as black here. And it all comes down to what is Gukesh most comfortable with without revealing his world championship preparation, because he's playing against Sindarov second.
Technically speaking, yes, we did ask Nodirbek, on day 0, whether he'll be helping Sindarov, and he said yes in a resounding voice. So I think there'll be, and of course, he has some sort of key to Gukesh's play, right? He has a good record against him. So I get a feeling that maybe Nodirbek being in Sindarov's team would be a huge help to Sindarov there in the World Championship match. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, bishop b4 on the board and queen a4 check, a very popular choice nowadays, right? To kind of force the knight to come to c6. We also have the board in front of you in just a few seconds. And then the c pawn, Sahaj, usually kind of has a bunch of issues, right? You cannot push it anymore.
Absolutely. And I think he goes for e3 there. So I think we have seen this variation play out a little bit earlier. In one of the rounds where black tries to take the pawn on c4 and try to push e5. We'll have the board set up for you guys very, very soon. I think we have everything live on the board here. I think all the games are live. We'll walk you through everything that's going on, because guess what, guys? Firouzja has also played the French defense, my favorite opening there.
Wow.
So it's interesting games all around. Arjun has gone for Italian. Dimitri has played d4, and Nihal is thinking apparently on the first move, or maybe he's not on the board. So many updates are coming. Let's see what's going to happen. Sahil, take us through maybe some of the other matches there as well. Is Nihal on the board, or is he thinking on the first move, or is he actually not on the board?
Let's have a look. So, after playing pickleball yesterday, even my body's a bit sore. Even Nihal is also a bit tired. Let's have a look at that camera, whether Nihal is at the board, whether he's thinking about his first move, whether he's late, because pawn to d4 played by Dimitri Andrekin, and there he is. We just saw him arrive.
Absolutely, and he has played the King's Indian. So he's gone for the King's Indian approach.
Oh,
That means
wow.
Nihal is going for a very, very dynamic approach there, unless he goes for Grunfeld, which is also quite dynamic there as well. But dynamic game all around.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I would love to see a King's Indian, Sahaj, because that would mean insane opening prep by Nihal Sarin. And also, of course, at the end, it's not just an opening prep, right? He's been very confident in this entire event. So love to see a hard-fought battle in this one. Meanwhile, Sahaj, you mentioned the French defense. This is like not that common nowadays. Knight c3 takes, and it's so nice to see this opening over the board. Takes me back to a few years back when this was much more popular.
In the World Championship, I believe Ding also played this against Gukesh. So it is an opening that people play from time to time, just like the London, yeah. But you don't play it quite as often because you run the risk of your opponent, preparing really well, and it works better as a surprise. But there is a surprise within a surprise with inside the Firouzja game, because he has taken the pawn on e4. We call this the Rubinstein variation. That is, I would say, not as popular inside the French itself. So there is a surprise within a surprise in the Firouzja versus Hans game.
Indeed. And I think now we see Firouzja, if we can have the camera as well, play knight d7. Now white is thinking. Hans Niemann coming from a loss yesterday. This is a must-win game for him if he really wants to have, his winning chances in contention. He can also stop the tournament leader, right? So you only get one opportunity to stop the tournament leader directly. Otherwise, you're again dependent on other results, and that's out of your control. So crucial game for Hans Niemann here. Maybe he did not expect the French defense, but Firouzja, France, you have to kind of expect it.
Absolutely. He's representing his nation there with knight f6. And if you can have the camera of Firouzja, it would be amazing. As Hans is thinking in the position. By the way, bishop g7 was played by Nihal there. So we have King's Indian.
Wow.
The most dynamic opening against the 1d4 that you can play. And, well, Ali Reza playing the French, Nihal going for King's Indian. I feel like it's the time to, culturally represent your country with your opening choices there, Sahil.
Agreed. And I think let's have a look at the Arjun game as well against Prayesh. Two Indians fighting it out. We have e4, e5, at least one solid choice there, Sahaj. And now knight f6. I would love to see knight g5, but this is not a Levy video. So d3, bishop c5, c3, a5, preventing b4 ideas. Castles by white, d6. Now rook e1, bishop drops back to a7, preempting this d4 break at the right moment. Now knight to d2. This knight would love to come to f1, g3. And then bishop e6, bishop b5, castles. And now this is the life position.
Absolutely. So black has castle. By the way, I think Pranesh was kind of hoping for something in this situation. If you could go back, just a couple of moves before knight b2 was played. If white goes for something like h3 here. Now, the idea is very simple that I'm just making a waiting move. This move can never be bad, right? Well, yes, it can be bad because black can now play h6 followed by g5. And
Indeed.
That is now a huge attack incoming on the king's side. So you always wait to play h3 after black has castled so that there is no h6 and g5 break in this position.
Agreed. And this is called a typical hook because whenever black pushes the g-pawn, you're kind of forced to react and open a file for the black attack. So that's why you see much calmer play here. Arjun Erigesi coming off from a win. Sahaj, this is a very important game for Arjun. If he somehow wins this, he could totally be in the lead. And we have seen Arjun finish second so many times. He needs that one win, one big super tournament win, and that could unlock a whole new level to the India number one.
Absolutely. And he already got that win yesterday. He just needs another one. He needs to keep winning. And I think today is a day where he can actually do just that. As he goes knight to g6, I believe the game is a little bit further. I think black has played knight e7 here. White has gone for d4. And black has played knight g6 in this position.
Okay, I don't see a bunch of moves, but hopefully we will have them soon.
So h3 was played by
h3
Arjun.
was played.
Knight e7. So you see, he played h3 after black went short castle. Now d4 and knight g6. And this is the current position on the board. Looks like Pranesh has out-prepared Arjun. Now that's a sentence we don't hear often.
Yeah, it's just 2 minutes, but it's valuable 2 minutes because it shows that Pranesh expected this opening. He's not thought at all for the first 10 moves or so. So Arjun right now must be wondering, okay, maybe I fell into my opponent's preparation, but we know how deep Arjun's prep is, but we also know Pranesh helped Vishali win the candidates, so he must be used to doing some really, really deep prep because it doesn't get much deeper than the candidates, yeah?
Absolutely. He was also at the World Cups, so I mean, Pranesh has been around very, very strong players, and I think Pranesh is an extremely underrated player. He's super young as well, so I think I do expect some kind of a surprise, some kind of an upset from him very, very soon, but we'll have to wait and see when that happens. So far, I think Pranesh looking really well against Arjun. He's the only guy I feel in the entire event who can say, I out-prepared Arjun.
That's true. And today we have a packed house, Sahaj, because potentially we have the 3-4 most famous names in the Chennai chess ecosystem. First of all, we have Vishal in the house, 5-time world champion, and Gukesh in chess as well. So
Wow.
that's why it's a packed house, and a Sunday as well.
Yeah. That is insane actually to think of. What a day actually. I don't believe something like this has happened before in Chennai. Not all of them in one place. Yeah. What a day. And I think the crowd kind of shows that as well. White goes for bishop d3 in this position. I think Arjun's still more or less in prep, and he has gotten up from the board as Pranesh thinks in this position. The general idea is to play c6 and d5, but no, look at that. Pranesh goes for knight h5. I believe his idea is to go knight to f4, and he wants to attack on the king side somehow.
Wow.
Queen f6 and some crazy business there. Maybe some sacrifice on h3 side.
Absolutely. And bishop d3, the last move, like in some cases, whenever the knight is coming to f4, I want to play bishop f1 sometimes. But of course, so bishop d3 after knight h5 on the bishop, right? So I think Arjun right now, you can see him think, he understands, he's kind of fallen into his opponent's prep. So look at Pranesh, how confident his body language looks right now. So I think Arjun will have to be very careful. But I think if he can neutralize the next 5 moves or so, then maybe he can start doing Arjun things.
Absolutely. The game looks so crazy and so fresh that it almost feels like Arjun is, that the colors are swapped here.
Yeah.
Usually it's Arjun who's, creating these ideas from the, from each side of the board, to create some attacking chances there. But knight f4, bishop h3, that looks extremely scary. But Arjun is not afraid. He goes knight f1 and he says, if you want to take on h3,
be my guest.
Be my guest.
Indeed, and talking about, crazy chess, let's go to the game of the world champion playing against the Uzbek number 1. So this is where we left it. Queen a4 check, knight c6, e3 was played, defending the c4 pawn very quickly. Now comes castles, queen drops back to c2. Yes, Saj.
So sorry to interrupt you there, but just, we were talking about the previous game. I have an interesting fact for you. Actually, this game, this exact position of knight h5, we can just have that just very, very quickly. We'll jump to this game immediately after. This was played between Fabiano Caruana and Anish Giri in the candidates this year, which Anish ended up winning. You remember that very long game?
And Anish was black.
Anish was playing with the black pieces and he defeated Fabi here with the, with black pieces there. So that's why I think both of the players are so familiar with the position, because it just happened at the candidates.
Wow, there is no way any of these players has missed that game then. So both of them kind of expecting, to pull a one-off over their opponent. Yeah, okay, I am more prepared is what they're thinking. But of course, one of them is going to be surprised soon. Look at how quickly Arjun also dropped the bishop back, right? So he's also in his prep. This knight will come to g3 at the right moment, or e3, defending the king side. And then, of course, the attack becomes much tougher at some point. The queen might also want to enter here. So a very interesting game building up here between the two Indian youngsters. So now jumping to the world champions game, Sahaj, very quickly. We saw till queen c2, and now comes b6. Very interesting move. Bishop d2, bishop drops back, a3, knight to a5. What do you make of this position, the current one?
He has taken on, I think b6 completely threw me off in this position as it is, because generally speaking, instead of b6, black tries to, take on c4 and try to play e5. And I think we were talking about some days ago, we were talking about this move h6 as well, where you try to, basically black's entire idea in this position is to try and take on c4 and push e5. Now, Gukesh has sidestepped in this scenario. He's gone for b6. Technically going for a fianchetto with bishop b7 or bishop a6, those could be, some of the ideas. But look at his follow-up. Knight a5, white goes to b4, and then he goes knight b7. So it's the first time we are seeing a knight being fianchetto.
Wow. And you know what? That b6 move is a rare move in that position, but seems to have a great record for black on chess.com side. So maybe it's a practical weapon and you're already in uncharted territory. This was the last position when we had one game where white played bishop to d3, but no, your b4 attacking that knight. That knight on b7 looks a bit stupid, but at some point will come to d6, and that's going to be a tempting leap from d6 to e4 or c4.
I think that's a great point because you have two outposts incoming in this position. But Sahil bhai, actually B6 was employed by Gukesh in 2024 against Parham Maksudlu, Iranian #1, and he won that match. So this might be a newer territory overall for the opening, but Gukesh is very familiar with it.
And maybe Nodirbek is as well. I have a question. Do you think there's a game Gukesh has played in the last 2 years over the board classical chess that Nodirbek has not seen?
I really doubt that. As of course, Nodirbek and Gukesh have a rivalry of their own. But on top of that, because of the World Championship, if Nodirbek, as he mentioned, if he's helping Sindarov in his match, then for sure he would know all of these things as it is. And that's maybe why he's playing so quickly.
Exactly. And he has a decent position now. I think the goal is to deliver the bishop very quickly, castle, and then of course bring one of the rooks to c1 square, because black right now can't really play c5 in the best way possible. So let's see how this turns out. White also has this 95 ideas ahead, which is kind of irritating, right? Because I have this c6 square available for my pieces, and suddenly black is not equipped to handle this well. So interesting position. Nodirbek is 7 minutes behind. So maybe he has seen this, but a while back. So he's trying to recall the prep he's seen a while back here.
Knight e5 is a beautiful move. I'm now actually thinking practically, how do you even save the bishop on e7? Or is the plan to not even save it whatsoever? Can I go just knight d6 and just ignore everything? Is it possible? Because knight c6, I just move my queen, you take on e7, I just take back.
You actually can. You actually can do this. And if knight c6, then of course queen e8, attacking the knight. And if you take, okay, you lose a very important bishop, but the dark square bishop for white as well is not really, a great piece. He's not a star piece. Yeah, I think at some point it has, potential in the game. There's no doubt about it. But right now, maybe you don't miss the bishop much. So I think interesting position. Nodirbek considering his options, 95, definitely one of the moves. Bishop developing d3, e2 is one of the moves. Rook coming to c1, so multiple choices, and he's still thinking.
I'm now thinking something like h3, g4, but I think that's a bit of an overkill because black can always place something like c5, to break the center, and that would completely neutralize the advantage that maybe the slight advantage that Nodirbek because he's playing with the white pieces. But let's see. So far, I think Gukesh has won the opening battle, but now it's a tough moment for Nodirbek. How does he continue? Bishop d3 is one of the options. Knight e5, like you mentioned, is one of the options. What else? I think those are the only two logical moves in the position, maybe?
Maybe bishop e2 as well. The reason why I say that move is because at some point black might go c5, and then the knight might come to c5 as well, and my bishop might be in the range of the knight as well. So maybe I might prefer bishop e2, and maybe after knight e5 I also have bishop f3 ideas to kind of attack that d5 pawn. So I think Nodirbek is spoiled for choice, but for me, first glance, if I was playing bullet chess, I would just put the knight on e5. That bishop looks too tempting.
Absolutely. And I think just to add on to your point, if you put the bishop on d3, black can also play c5 and c4.
Yeah.
So that basically forces white to make a trade on the c5 square, which is a bit unnecessary. And if you do make the trade, then of course, like you mentioned, the knight jumps to c5, and that would be a difficult situation for Nodirbek. So he is taking his time. Let's take a quick look with Andrekin versus Nihal.
Wow.
Because I believe we have pure chaos brewing in this game.
Wow, and look at this here. This is typical chess. You put the knight on c6, tempt your opponent to hit you. The knight comes to e5, you tempt your opponent to hit you, and then you go back home. It's like typical, like I said, you force your opponent to overextend and then you counter attack. So typical Nihal play.
No, Nihal knows the rule of the golden pawn. He just brought his knight to e5, made him play, push the golden pawn. Now he goes back. Sahil, I'm going to make a wild prediction here. We at least have one result confirmed today. I think this game is 100% going to be a result. I don't know which way it's going to go, but after seeing a position like this, I do not see a draw happening here. There is no way.
Wow, 100%. That's a bold prediction, Saj.
Really? What do you think? If you had to predict a result here, then there is no chance that it can be a draw, right? Because
That's a fair point. I think the position kind of demands a result because white has, a simple plan, yeah? Knight f3 and e5. And that looks so dangerous. Of course, you can, and by the way, the best move here is g4. That already is insane. Look at the number of pawns on the 4th or the 5th rank. This is absolutely crazy.
Make that 200%, then, the likelihood of a result in this position. If g4 is the best move, good luck.
But okay, Andrekin does not find it. He plays bishop d3. Bishop before knights is not the principle. And now Nihal has the choice of breaking in the center with pawn to e5. And suddenly, if you take on e5, then knight to h5, a beautiful pawn sack, bringing the queen to h4. And Sahaj, this is where, your prediction of Nihal winning could come true.
Absolutely. I'm not saying Nihal is going to win, but I think there's going to be a result for sure in this game. But after e5, I heard somewhere, maybe it was in one of your videos, Sahil, that en passant is forced. Can I do an en passant here?
That is definitely possible. And that's the best move indeed. And once you take with the pawn, of course, the f file opens up. So black at least has some claim in the center now. E5 is not a threat, but of course it does weaken the G6 and the E6 square. So a dynamic game incoming here, and it's going to be exciting to watch. And as these guys think, we should jump to the hands versus Firouzja game, which the chat is demanding. And after knight f3, knight f6, knight takes f6, knight takes f6, bishop e3, and bishop to d7, we have a typical French opening where the only odd factor here is the clock time for Hans Niemann. Rest looks pretty solid.
Yeah, I think we're still very much in opening territory. I remember there was a book by Vityugov Nikita as Black here, where he recommends a very similar setup. It's one of the, as a kid, it's one of the first repertoires that I read, on the French system. And this is the setup that he recommends with the black pieces. So it has a lot of history. And I think the plan for Alireza is to put that bishop perhaps on c6, play bishop d6, and go for short castle. And maybe a secondary plan could be to play c5 as well. But c5 looks a bit dangerous in this situation because firstly, I can just take the pawn on c5. And secondly, you haven't really completed your development on the king side either. And lastly, Sahil, I have a question. If I played knight e5 in this position, and you're just giving me the double bishop advantage, but I assume it's not going to amount to much.
Agreed, and I think in these structures, sometimes black would just play bishop d7, bishop c6, just take on f3, then play c6. Like in many structures, because he knows how bad this bishop is, he would trade it for anything. You give him any piece in turn for the bishop, he will trade it. And by the way, after knight e5, weird move for black is bishop a4. That's the best move. And if you play b3, now you notice the problem. Bishop b4 check, and now the king has to move ahead. So weird move, but I think maybe white has multiple options though.
Yeah, for sure. But knight e5 looks so natural, and if Firouzja has prepared bishop b4, that is some very, very good preparation there, because he keeps the double bishops on the board. He's planning bishop d6 knight, and also Sahil, he is threatening bishop b4 check anyways, because you cannot play c3. So let's say if white makes a normal looking move like bishop e2 or something, then bishop b4 check, and suddenly you have to disrupt your castling with king f1. That is the plan for Alireza here. And to Hans's defense, bishop a4 is not an obvious move in this position.
Yeah.
It's something you miss, because after knight e5, I think the most expected move is to play something like bishop d6 or maybe bishop c6, but that looks a bit too much. But bishop d6 perhaps could be a logical move. So you could very well miss this idea of bishop a4.
Agreed. I mean, you want to castle as early as possible, right? I think every chess beginner knows this. Put your king in the corner. That's where it belongs. Very safe, away from an attack. And that's why developing this bishop on the queen side first is a bit odd, but it has a very clear idea, a very weird idea that somehow tactically just works out. So interesting game here, a 20-minute lead for Firouzja on the clock. So right now, the tournament leader potentially building up to a good game for him here against Hans Niemann, who suffered his first loss yesterday. And I think Firouzja seems to have a lot of, hoodies and a lot of sweatshirts he's wearing, and maybe it's like a lucky sweatshirt or something, yeah?
Oh, he's been doing it for a while, I feel. He's, I believe fashion was one of the things that he was exploring. So, I mean, it shows in his dressing style as well. So that is the current position. Hans is under deep thought after bishop d7. I think let's switch to Arjun versus Pranesh, because we have a lot of updates there after the opening phase is finished. Knight h5 was, I believe, where we had left it. He goes for bishop, knight f1, knight f4. He tucks the bishop away to c2. Black plays c6, aiming for that d5 break. White goes for knight g3, queen d7, and now Sahil, look at that. Bishop h3 is on the cards in this position. And look at that. Arjun stops him at his tracks and plays knight f5. And now Pranesh goes for f6, defending the e5 pawn, but also touching the golden pawn there. White goes for knight h4, challenging the trade of knights. And Pranesh plays rook f to e8. And it is now move 17 in the game of Arjun versus Pranesh. It is now move 17, and Pranesh still has 1.5 hours on the clock.
And I want to point out all the moves so far in the game. 17 moves were the first preference of the engine.
Yeah.
So they are basically prepared. They saw all of this at home. And the question is, whose prep will run out first? Because so far, I look at the clock, Arjun is 7 minutes behind Sahaj. So will Pranesh actually be better prepared than Arjun in this game? That would be a surprise.
I think so far he is. I think he's the only guy who is better prepared. I think who has been only. He's the only guy who's been better prepared against Arjun. We saw how Hans was crumbling. We saw that crazy game against Nodirbek where Arjun found that f5, h5, and I don't know what that was, and he got into a winning position there as well. But against Pranesh, it's a different story. It is Arjun who's down on the clock. Something we don't get to say a lot because it almost never happens.
And the reason I say he's down on the clock, he's only 7 minutes or 8 minutes down. That itself is quite rare for Arjun.
In Arjun time, that is like, half an hour. It never happens with Arjun. After the first 15 moves, he's usually the one who has half an hour more in comparison to his opponent, thanks to his monster prep. But now Pranesh is saying, wait a second.
And talking about
competition.
Talking about opening prep, I think we have to jump to the world champions game. That's Nodirbek against Gukesh. And believe it or not, after 11 moves, look at the time that Nodirbek has. So even if he had seen this idea by Gukesh before, it does seem like somehow he's really gone into a deep thing. He's not completely sure about the plans, and he's navigating the subtleties here because he understands the knight coming to d6 is a huge positional threat, and he's thinking about what to play. Accuracy 99.6, but a long think very early in the game's edge.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, the moves here were bishop e2, bishop d3, and then there was knight e5. And I think if I do not know this position, bishop e2, which is the first preference of the engine, I think that's a move I would look at last.
Agreed.
Because I would look at bishop d3. It looks like you're activating your bishop. You're putting some target on the h7 pawn. Knight e5 also looks a lot, quite logical because you're threatening knight c6. But bishop e2 is a quiet move. Now, if you don't know, what the plans are, you don't really make passive moves. You try to put your pieces on active squares. And I think Nodirbek might try for bishop d3 here as well.
Agreed. And I think the longer the think, I feel maybe he somehow narrows it down to bishop e2. Also, like at first glance, rook c1 also came to mind. But I think the problem is somehow after c5, you're not really stopping that pawn break. So black is actually already ready to push that pawn with 1, 2, 3 defenses here, and the rook and the queen not really doing much. So the rook actually belongs on a1, and the second rook at some point can come to d1 or c1 and try to stop that pawn break. And c5 is the move Gukesh wants to play. Otherwise, Sahaj, imagine 10 moves down the line, this c pawn, I have played b5 by then, I've played a4, I've put the rook on the c5, I doubled up rooks maybe. Then this square could be a hole in black's camp, and this pawn could be a huge target right till the endgame.
I think that's a great summary there. I think you can play for the queen side, like with bishop e2, short castle, like you mentioned, putting pressure on the c7 pawn. But I feel that it's a bit slow because black can push c5 at any moment. Maybe he can play c5, in the next move itself. But my question is that if you're going to play c5 anyways, I think there is an interesting option here for Nodirbek.
Okay.
What if I was to go g4? I'm giving you the pawn. Is that, how bad is it? I know it's bad, but how bad is it is the question. Because if you go bishop g4, my idea is knight e5. And if you go knight g4, I'll just play rook g1 and I'll try to put pressure on the g7 pawn. What do you do?
Anybody watching this, the idea here is to open the g file towards the black king, and the white king is saying, I am stable enough in the center and I can basically go for the attack. And it's a move which Nodirbek definitely would consider at least. And the point is that bishop g4, as Sahaj mentioned, 95 is a tempo on the bishop, and the bishop has to now move again at some point. Rook g1 incoming. But maybe the worst move for white is simply knight takes g4 as well. Also works out, and now there is no 95 Sahaj. And I don't want to waste a move with h3, for example. It's a bit slow as well.
I was thinking rook g1, bishop d3, but I feel like it's a bit slow, yeah, because black gets this c5 break immediately. Now, had my pawn been on b2 instead, I could have gone long castle and maybe I could have, kept my king a little bit safer. But since after g4, that king remains in the center, so maybe it's not, the best option here.
And also the bishop was here, yeah? You could have some bishop e5, bishop h6 ideas long term, but the bishop also kind of stuck behind the pawn, does not impress anyone. So going back to the live position, Nodirbek, look at him, by the way, yeah? Like he's definitely locked in right now. He's maybe thinking, okay, I've been thinking for 15, 20 minutes now, and he's not convinced by either choice. He needs to find bishop e2, which seems to be the best plan. Knight e5 also seems to be the most logical choice. He's drinking some water. Let's see what he plays. Sahaj, final guess. 95, bishop e2, bishop d3.
I think because Nodirbek is thinking for such a long time, I think he might go for bishop e2, bishop d3, or something along those lines.
Yeah, indeed. And Sahaj, you know what? I think we're going to have one man in the hall without whom we all wouldn't be here. He's led the charge for Indian chess for decades. And let's invite on stage 5-time world champion, Grandmaster Vishy Anand. Welcome, sir. So I think it's again Chennai Grandmasters, 4th time in a row. All the Indian talent, global talent here. So how does it feel to again see a top level event in Chennai?
It's very nice. Consistently, we have a top tournament, absolute top players, and Indian fit naturally. 50% of the tournament Indian, but still the description stays. And very good game so far. It's not like.
Absolutely. I think he has gone for here. But sir,
Thank you guys. Okay, keep your energy for the football. Keep your energy for the football.
Sir, the effect is real. Yesterday we all went to play pickleball with Nihal and some others, and there is a person there who recognized Nihal, and he said, I also used to play chess, and that guy was a 2300 player. The culture of Chennai is so massive in chess that you see a 2300 player playing pickleball. That is your effect, sir.
2300 playing pickleball.
So we randomly met him on the streets, randomly or 2300.
How is that my fault?
Not your fault. We were thinking of you, sir.
So have you been following the event so far? And it seems like a very exciting one. We've had one result on each day, and Firouzja kind of leading the event, then Arjun striking. So your thoughts on the event so far?
It's a very nice event so far. Some very good games. I would also say Neiman against Nihal was a potential classic. Still was very entertaining to watch. Arjun's game against Neiman was fascinating. And of course, Alireza reminded me of this person who grabs every opportunity at the beginning of the tournament. You start with +2 because you make the 100 maximum out of every chance. Pranesh played some good games, so it's all around. Yeah.
And some really exciting chess from Arjun as well with that against Nodirbek, that bishop e7, f5, h5.
Yes.
Never seen chess played like that.
I have never seen chess played like that. It was very strange to watch because you're just used to the bishop coming to c5. Or when it goes to e7, then you just play b5 and d6. But like this with f5 and everything. And both of them played quite creative chess. And when you're in a completely new situation, people lose their bearings. I mean, Arjun was much better, but I don't think either of them realized it or had the full evaluation. They were suspected. Like I think Nodirbek might have thought it's doesn't not as good as I thought it would be, sort of thing. But I don't think he would have understood how bad it. Thing. And Arjun also didn't quite place his finger on how big his edge was. So it shows you these guys are very creative now.
And so, talking about creative play, we have a huge rivalry here: Nodirbek versus Gukesh, and we see a knight on b7. So there was a time when the knight would land on b7, and you would declare as white as better. So what do you make of this game so far?
And time is still here. What did it go to a5 and then b6 happened?
I think he went for in this position. You mean knight a5? He took the pawn on d5. Pawn takes b4. Went knight b7, and now knight goes to e5. And he thought for about 17 minutes before he plays this move. We were thinking of some g4 ideas here, but I'm guessing it's a bit too late. But we're watching too many Arjun games.
Yes. I was just wondering after knight e5 if c5 is forced or not.
In this position?
Yes. It could be that he wants to ignore it and play knight d6, and then somehow, if he can play a6, b5, then he can put the knight on c4, the blanket. But feels a bit off. So I'm going to go with maybe bishop d6 is possible.
Bishop d6 in this position.
Yes, and then play queen e8, knight d8. That could
Oh,
be an idea.
wow.
Nice,
Let's go. That's a beautiful idea.
Yeah. But white could play g4, but luckily for Gukesh, Arjun is not his opponent. So it may not happen. But, well, it's one of the two. I mean, you play c5 or I think bishop d6. I can't get very impressed by knight d6. Though it temporarily threatens bishop f5, but let's say I play bishop d3, what's your move?
Knight d6, bishop d3, and I believe we can go for something like a5, I'm thinking. But then you have b5.
Maybe you just go bishop b7 and try to play rook c8 and c5 or something like that. But again, I think it's like Arjun, you not misplaced, but you put a piece where it normally doesn't go, and you have trouble, both sides have trouble making the best moves. So I'd be curious. First of all, I don't know what Gukesh is going to play now. Is it knight d6 or c5? He can't do queen e8 right away because of bishop b5. So c5 is possible, or bishop d6.
And so just a few days ago, I believe it was Rakesh who had an interview with Nodirbek, and he asked him whether he would be helping Sindarov in the World Championship, and he said he would be seconding at some capacity. And now that Nodirbek is playing against Gukesh, what happens in a situation like this? Do you show everything that you have? Do you show your prep, or do you keep everything hidden, considering that you're playing against, well, your opponent's second in this sense?
I think with so little information, there's nothing you can deduce. I mean, Nodirbek could be playing, though in this particular case, I think it's more likely that Gukesh is doing it. But Nodirbek could be playing Sindarov's preparation, and nobody would ever know. I mean, how would you be sure anyway? So I think all this signal and all, well, the signal only works when it's received. So
Nice.
I'm not very impressed by ideas of trying to figure this out. Unless you have some more information you glean. But this is one more point you will note, and then you'll take all the things you've noticed, and then you'll try to form a picture. Something like that. But,
Indeed, and I think so. We also have Nihal Sareen. If you can go to the game, sir, he has a King's Indian position on the board already, and I think we have e6, yeah, from Nihal now.
Yeah, this is the last move that Nihal has gone for. He's thought for 18 minutes before playing this move. So what do you make of this position? Very, very dynamic chess.
yes. I mean, he could have gone e5, but maybe he just thought f5 is not something he wanted to do. I don't know if knight h5 compensates for this.
Knight h5.
e2 and g4. You could just play knight f4, but white ignores it, something like that. And you just castle. Yeah. No, this is quite nice.
This is quite nice. Yeah.
So that's why Nihal is going e6, so that he's guaranteed that pawn tension will still be there. It's also provocative. I mean, everyone suspects that white is better, but you can't. You don't. At the board, it's very difficult to have the precision required. Make it happen. That's a good question. Would you take on e6 and play knight f3, or would you play knight f3?
If you go knight f3.
So Nihal's
Argument for both.
Instagram bio says professional pickleball player and amateur chess player. So your thoughts on that?
I don't know if that statement insults pickleball or chess more. I mean, if he's an amateur chess player, what does that say about everyone? If that's a professional pickleball player, my God. So, I really don't know. But I'm glad he's getting a sense of humor.
Absolutely. And let's take a look at Arjun versus Pranesh as well. This is the current position. It happened with an Italian opening. I believe we left it around this moment here. He went knight f5, f6, knight h4, rook e8, takes, bishop e3, queen c7, white goes for a4, bishop f7, and queen b1. So the first surprise here is that it's already moved 21. And the second surprise for me is that Arjun is down on the clock.
The third surprise for me is what's the queen doing? I'm trying to understand what's the point. I don't.
Usually you want to go queen a2, but that doesn't feel, this is what a professional pickleball player would play.
Yes. It seems like a pickleball move. Maybe he's trying to do b4 or something. No, but that would have worked with queen and b1.
Maybe he wants to take ab4 and then take back with the queen and not hurt the integrity of this c3 d4.
Could be. Also, there's a thing where he might be slightly discouraging d5 because you take and then you have to keep an eye out on g6. That looks a bit far-fetched. And I also, insofar as d5 was even a plan, I don't know that it was.
I think it's the first time we are seeing in this tournament Arjun not having a clear advantage in the opening, from itself. I think good preparation by Pranesh there. I think he's here with his brother, who's also kind of helping him, prepare, and looks like it has worked out really well.
And for the first time, he's behind on the clock as well, yeah? And that too by 12 minutes. Otherwise, he's always ahead.
Absolutely. And the last game we have is Hans versus Ali Reza. And we have a surprising French, a Rubinstein variation, which I don't remember seeing in recent times at the top level. We can go through the opening phase here if you want to take a look at the game. Takes, bishop e3 happens, goes for bishop d7, bishop d3, black plays knight d5, knight e5, takes, and now bishop to d6. This is the current position.
I think white could play queen g4 and castle long. Because if we take, even though I have double pawns, I get some space. And
So let's say,
alternately, I could go queen h5, g6, and come back, slip back to g4.
okay. So queen h5, you play g6, and then you go for some queen.
But I don't think it's going to be
G4
major anyway. This is a very drawish opening.
Well, Hans already is kind of leading the tournament with. Ali Reza is kind of leading the tournament with the 2.5 out of 3, playing with the black pieces. So a solid approach would make sense here. But I see some, at least through the bar, I can see some advantage with queen g4 here from the white side.
Interesting. Look at the time difference, by the way. Hans even almost like 35 minutes behind.
Firouzja has an hour and 32 minutes here. I didn't even notice that. Oh, that is insane, actually. But yes, I think any other game you would like to go to?
I think we missed one, right?
I think Gukesh has played c5. Maybe you can check out Nodirbek versus Gukesh. So your move on the board, and we were kind of debating in this position just one move back when he had gone for knight b7 and he was planning this move c5. How easy it is to play something like bishop e2 as opposed to bishop d3 here?
Probably if bishop e2, then I play knight d6. And then I'm threatening bishop f5. That could be a consideration. But if I go bishop d3 and you play c5.
Bishop d3. So in this position, we go bishop d3. Black
and I play c5 and you take several times, but you can't take the final time because the knight takes would threaten to take on d3.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a factor there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that either move is significantly better. It would come depending on as you work through the lines like c5 or some other plan,
Mm-hmm.
you might be able to come to some sort of conclusion about that.
Absolutely. So after knight e5 c5, should he try to? Is it okay for for white to allow this move c4, or?
Yes, I think.
Oh, he's taken.
He has taken.
Yeah.
He took.
Yeah, I don't think that's really an error. I think it should be fixed very, very soon. B takes c5 played as well, and now c4 as well. Is it good for black, or is it kind of okayish?
If I get the bishop to f5, then I will take c4 as I would play c4 here.
Mm-hmm.
But already I don't see why I cannot play g4 after c4. Maybe h3, bishop e6, knight e6, g4 before you could put something on f5.
Mm-hmm.
Or bishop e2, some piece g4 is also possible. Or even c4, let me just play g4. Say I'm in a good mood.
Let's say bishop e2 here.
Yeah.
Black plays c4. Let's say white goes for g4. Yeah, this makes it a very complicated
Then,
position.
It's true that when I defend the d5 pawn with bishop e6, I can threaten some knight d7, d6.
Knight d7, d6. If you have played g5 here and here, so
I
bishop
would be
e6.
happier with the pawn on b6 than the pawn on b4, but I can't say why.
Okay.
I would be happy as white with this pawn.
We have
He
the
has made
option
one more
of.
move. I don't know what he has made.
Yeah, he's played bishop e2, so we might have that decision of c4 in this game already. And taking on d4 is not a good idea ever. I'm just wondering.
Take knight d6 might be just.
Just equalish or some advantage to white?
I don't see it. I mean, castles, I'll go bishop d7 and I can play rook d8 or rook c8 and put something on c4 or b4.
Mm-hmm. So bishop e7, rook c8, and something like maybe even bishop e6 could be an idea as well. Both of them.
Well, once I'm coming out, why not poke with bishop f5?
Oh yeah. That even makes more sense.
And so India recently had its 99th Grandmaster. So what you started is about to reach a century now. So your thoughts on that? And somebody in chat mentioned maybe you should have a picture of all the 100 GMs together. That would be impossible to pull off, of course.
Well, yes. Good luck to whoever wants to organize that. It's nice. I just to show the pace of change. I remember in 22, just before the Chess Olympiad in Chennai, there was some talk about would we get to 75 before the Olympiad because it'll be the perfect 75th year.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the next 3.5 years, we have added another 24. That's,
Wow.
that's a decent pace, no?
Yeah.
So, and I think the number was at 40 in 2010. Is that correct? Or 30 or 40?
That's around when you became a
2010.
GM.
So the remaining
no
50
20.
plus.
I was 29th and it was 2012. I became one.
You're 29?
I'm 29th in
I thought
2012.
in 2010 it was, or maybe it was 30 in 2000.
Yeah, 2013 could be. I think there were a few.
Oh, then so you can imagine how many more we have had in the last 15 years.
That's incredible to
Yeah,
think
more
about.
than all the other years decades put together.
Actually, in the last 2 weeks itself, or in the last month or so, we've had 3 or 4 grandmasters itself, which is incredible, to think about. And yeah.
Maybe an AI generated photo set of all the 100 GMs. We have AI, please use it.
So yes. So we have c4 in this position. I think Gukesh taking his first think, I guess, in the position. But yesterday, Gukesh had a pretty quick draw against Andrekin with the white pieces. It felt like it wasn't an actual fight in the game. Do you think he missed something, or what do you think happened in that game? If you followed that, I'm sure you
I
did.
think it kind of fizzled in the tactics. I didn't go very deep as to what he could have done to put more pressure, but this tension with knight e5, this whole line with knight e5,
Yeah.
the tension broke very fast. You had this queen takes g3 and then bishop h3, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, woof, all the board got cleared of pieces.
Exactly. And in the
So-
end, there was this rook f c8 move, which
Killed it, yeah.
which just killed the
In fact,
entire
Gukesh even had to grab him a little bit when the rook came to
Yeah.
h3.
Yeah. It looked
So
like
it looked a bit awkward, but nothing real. Sometimes nothing you can do. I mean, in the Scotch, if your opponent equalizes, he equalizes.
mm,
I think you just have to be patient and keep trying every day and see what you can do.
just a new idea. Got it.
And so also we're going to have the Olympiad soon. We have 3 players from the team here itself. So your thoughts on the Olympiad, our team, our chances, and it would be almost impossible to pull off what we did last time, but just your predictions, sir.
You know, again, we have a good team, but we have strong rivals as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be exciting to watch. It depends on momentum. 1 or 2 good matches, and we could repeat, but without that, we may not. There's no way to tell.
So, is there any specific country you think is specifically a good rival in this sense? Or
I think obviously, sort of Uzbekistan, Turkey to some degree. I think they're still a little bit young, but strong enough to make a difference. The US always in the mix, and we should not overlook the other countries.
Yeah. By the way, I think no moves by Gukesh so far. Yeah, he's still thinking.
yeah, I think he's deciding whether it's c4 or pawn takes d4, which I think is kind of also. Do you want to complicate further, or do you want to go into simplification? But yeah, I think he's going to take some time here. Do you want to go to another game? Let's check out. I think we can check out maybe Andrekin versus Nihal, or we can check out. Yeah, let's do that. Oh wow, he's still thinking after e6. Also, I don't think a lot of people know who Andrekin is in this sense. I'm sure you've played a lot of games with him. Could you tell us a bit about his style, his who he is, and like how strong he used to be, or still is?
He's just one of the strong Russian players. He maintained a fairly decent high level for a very long time. Again, I think a specialist in faster, or he has openings geared more to faster time controls. Bit provocative with black, his openings, but I don't know what really to add. He's just a decent player. So.
A fast, aggressive player overall.
Right.
You got it.
So I had a question. I think we've seen like 18-year-old become world champion Gukesh, and of course we have Arjun who's young, Nihal, Prag, all these guys are youngsters. And so you've been at the top for so long. So I think I did some analysis and you've played over 4,000 games.
Any question which starts off with a lot of young people, but you, and you can see it. You can see it going.
I apologize. So what I mean is,
No.
so it's over 4,000 games. So you've played with the win draw rate of 86%. So 85.6 to be exact. So what is the secret of that longevity that, these guys can use to be at the top for the next decade?
I don't know if it's a big secret. As long as you keep in touch with the game and you keep honing your skills, you'll have some shots. I was happy in Hong Kong. I could play at a reasonable level, which I was worried about because I hadn't played for 5 months, but managed to keep a decent level. And I enjoy the game. What can I say?
Yeah. That's great advice. I enjoy the game. I think all these players really love the game. Always talking about it. I think Nihal, of course, loves pickleball, of course. That's an additional game there. But
So is there a sport you like to play besides chess as well that you use maybe as part of your training as well?
I play badminton sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yes, and one big advantage is a lot of people who used to queue in for the badminton courts are now found in the pickleball. So that's helpful. But I play an occasional game, so but otherwise just do something for fun. I mean,
Nice. Coming back to the games, he has gone for knight f3, and we see Nihal in deep thought there. It seems like such a complicated position. I don't even know where to begin. Should black go pawn takes d5? Should I go knight c5? Should I go for c6? How should Nihal proceed here?
I was thinking whether you could play e5,
E5 here.
but I think the problem is simply fe5. Because f5, now gf5, e5, e4 might win a piece.
Oh, yeah.
So
So we take, and we have rook e8, I guess, and
exactly, because e4 there's a knight on f3, you couldn't be ignored. But I could take on e5 and it's completely fine. So I mean, better for white.
we're looking at some ideas with knight h5, but I'm assuming that's not possible since the knight is on f3.
Well, let's see. Knight h5, I go g4. Knight g3, rook g1.
Knight g3 and rook g1. I was thinking maybe like instead of knight g3, you could go for f5, but I'm not sure if this is, again, watching too many Arjun games, I guess.
No. What have we been having? Don't blame Arjun for this.
Color that black pawn white, and it's yesterday's Arjun game. Yeah?
Yes, literally, yes, to some extent. But yeah, so coming back to the position, knight f3, any other ideas you see for Nihal here? Because it looks like a very complicated position. I do want to take on d5.
One thing
but
is to take on d5. I think white has to play cd and then somehow c6. But it seems better anyway for white. Take bishop c2 or something, or take castle. Make a few moves.
And if I ever go for e takes d5 in this position, do I have a plan of rook e8, rook a3 ever, or is that still what is that still Arjun effect for me?
No, rook e8 and knight c5 and put something on e4. Just sensible moves.
I see. So knight f3, I think he's taking his time here. I think pawn takes d5. Any other idea? I think knight c5 maybe could be interesting. What do you think of c6?
It's like I don't particularly like c6, but I can't say what's wrong with it exactly. But it just feels wrong.
Perfect. Still trying to think. Like I think you can take on e6, maybe try for short castle, and maybe the pawns are just not too amazing in the position. Because my initial plan was to try something, to try and break the center.
Something.
Yeah, he took on d5, I think.
He took on d5. Perfect. And I think now comes the choice. Does he take with the c pawn or the e pawn? And you said c pawn is automatic here.
Yeah, for me there isn't a choice.
And is that largely because the pawn is on f4 instead of f2? And if the pawn,
Yes.
presumably.
That's it.
I see. So when the golden pawn is touched, you don't.
Well, the whole point is to take, and he's done it. Thank God.
Nice.
I think that's going to think for a while, maybe. We can switch games.
Yeah, sure. I see some advantage brewing for Pranesh,
wow.
at least according to the bar. Let's take a quick look what happened there. After queen b1, rook d8, he has played the move king to h1, and well, the bar doesn't like it so much. Not
okay,
really.
this is white is trying to play d takes e5, bishop e3,
Yes.
and e takes d6, and there is no bishop takes f2 check. So that's why king h1.
Oh, that's clever.
Nice.
That's very clever. But why queen b1 then? Because this feels. I thought the idea was to play b4, and I thought queen b4.
I think the queen and king have had a big fight because
Same thought. Same thought.
they're both heading off in opposite directions. I think it's
As far as they can go, yeah? Literally for the max distance.
well, that could go to a1. But,
Amazing.
rook a3 and queen a1, they're not talking to each other.
That's nice. So I see this pawn takes d4, and something like d5 as one of the possibilities. And why I mentioned this to you is because as what I can see on my screen is king g1. The king has to kind of apologize to the queen and say, let's kind of make up. And of course, that's not going to happen. But looks like
And
Pranesh.
this is very nice. This is one of the big areas that computers are better than us. Is they are not embarrassed at all to take back bad moves. They don't feel humiliated or something. They just think, well, what do I want to play here? I have nothing better to do than King G1, so let me play. And this is a good example of totally clear thinking. You just ignore everything that doesn't matter. This is the position now thing. But it's very difficult for humans to go to H1 and come back to G1 because you want to have achieved something with these moves.
Yeah.
So
And also, sir, I think we have the off topic, but FIFA World Cup final tonight. So have you been following it? And if you have any predictions, I'm sure Rakesh has gotten them, but we would also love to hear them.
yes, well, I'm rooting for Spain, of course, but predictions are harder because I think any prediction with Argentina before minute 90 is not very safe. So I'd have to admit that on that front, it's nerve-wracking till the end.
Will you watch the match tonight, sir?
Yes, I think today somehow I'll put in the effort.
Oh wow, amazing! I think it's going to start at 12:30 or something like
12:30,
this,
yeah.
which is going to be. So did you catch yesterday's match?
No, which is a pity because I mean,
Same.
a 10-goal match.
Yeah.
6-4 was the final score, and after the first half it was 4-0, which is ridiculous. But yeah, by the way, Pranesh has taken on D4. Any possibility that Arjun can capture back with the knight?
Yes, but then after bishop b8, he'll have to decide, is he going to go back to f3? So you can just show that knight h3. I go bishop b8. Now I'm threatening d5 with the threat of queen h2, and that's extra thing.
Yeah.
Means that white will either have to play knight f3 himself, and as we discussed, it's very difficult to just go back. But also maybe
Now the queen can gloat. Yeah, and you really need the queen to be somewhere close. I'm not really sure where, but
yeah.
maybe bishop d4 first. Then, so in this position, I go bishop d4. Maybe you take. I see bishop d4. By the way, is a huge inaccuracy for some reason because of your move, bishop b8.
Even
And
bishop d4. Wow.
even bishop d4. Actually, bishop d4 is it's liked more for white in this sense, but bishop b. I'm not really sure why this is so bad, and is it largely because of the queen on b1 or what's going on? It feels like the computer is being a bit too harsh on Arjun's position.
To continue on my completely unnecessary theme, the king went away from the white queen, but after d5 might be visited by the black one.
Oh.
Wow.
Totally redundant. But anyway, there you go. So, but no, bishop d4, bishop b8 is very hard to see. I can't. Or if he sees it, it's brilliant. Actually, it's really brilliant if you play bishop d8 and it turns out to be a good move. Because white can't even take the move back. I mean, bishop e3 looks funny.
You know, sir, it's actually quite funny that you mentioned this because after bishop b8, I took a peek here. The next few king just king g1, black plays for let's play say king h8 for some reason. King f1 is the next move. Black plays whatever. Let's say I'm just not going to make a random move. Then you have to play queen d1 as well. So they have to kind of bring the pieces together and try and work it out in this position.
I think we should move on.
The more
But yeah, bishop b8 is very cool actually.
Yeah.
It's a
Don't
very
fight
nice
me.
plan. And quite. You don't expect d5 to be so strong that white has to just run back.
Absolutely.
But then it suggests that Arjun is making some strange moves. That king h1 is somehow quite strange. Because what was the point of king h1? Assuming black didn't fall for it, didn't fall for bishop e3, bishop f2. What is the point of white's play? What does he gain by having the king on h1? I don't see it. Unless you wanted to go knight g1, knight e2. But that seems particularly
not great, yeah.
hard to believe.
Because also the previous move was queen b1 and you're trying to play on the queen side, and now suddenly the play has shifted. Looks like Pranesh is more or less taking over, and I have this theory that Pranesh is at least going to pull off one upset in this tournament. Could it be this match, you think? Because I think he's a massively underrated player.
Well, to be slightly better with black after what, 22 moves? is not too shabby.
But that's a
With
normal
Arjun.
Arjun game, no? But usually he's playing with the black side when it happens. But yeah. Okay, taking you to.
Oh, wait,
Oh, wait. Arjun
Who's
has.
tip?
Arjun took knight d4 in this position.
wow.
So that has actually happened. Wow.
And bishop b8, is that bad?
I think this is quite
Bishop
good.
b8 is -1.
Yeah.
Wow.
So minus
Crazy.
1.
Could you have
And-
missed this move?
The black queen is going to visit time very soon. In the sense.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry, but can we stop, please? I'm sorry I started this. Can be more. Just see if. Oh no, d5. Maybe you can go knight b. No, just try d5 instead of bishop b8. Is it as strong? That's what I'm wondering. After e5, can I go bishop b8 and no big deal? In fact, the moves are knight f3, bishop b8.
Yeah.
So I can do it in this order as well.
Yes.
But nothing wrong with bishop.
I was thinking knight b5 could be possible, but I think
b6 at the end. Yeah.
exactly b6 at the end takes bishop a7, and b6 would trap
Yeah.
the bishop here. So Arjun already in a -1 position against Pranesh. Wow.
And what's the best move after bishop b8 or d5? Is it just knight f3 back?
Knight f3, or you play knight f5 and knight g3. Not sure which one is more efficient in this position. They both. To be honest, I don't like the knight on g3 because I can always play h5, h4 at the right moment and create some
Well,
problems.
can you? If you go h5, I go ed5.
So knight f5 we play. Let's say d5 first. Yeah, but now I understand. Now I understand because the bishop is hitting on g6. So
d5, knight g3. What is my thing? I could go knight f4 and try knight h5. Even as a sacrifice, it might work. Let's see.
Knight f4, e takes d5. This is the sacrifice I believe you're mentioning.
Not well, I wanted something more, but maybe knight h5 here, or just knight f1 after taking the pawn.
Knight h5, or you take the pawn on d5. Yeah, both of them. I mean, you can take, and white can take with a check, king h8, and still something like knight f1. And black is a pawn down, but still it's -1 for black.
Yeah.
You're getting bishop c4 at the bishop c4 at the right moment. So knight takes c3, rook takes c3, rook takes c3, fe3, and maybe bishop c4.
Yeah.
This is tough actually, huh? Arjun under pressure, I think, real pressure.
Yeah, 100%. Any other game? I think Nodirbek and Gukesh also have had an update. Gukesh has gone for c4, so
c4.
and Nodirbek has played bishop f3, putting some pressure on d5.
Well, the one thing black can do now is, funnily enough, go back to a5 and try to maybe land on b3.
Whenever I think of this knight on b3, I think of that game of Botvinnik Capablanca. In this case, though, it looks quite. Is the idea of knight f5 to stop knight c6 maybe as well? Or
Yes, that's a nice bonus.
nice. And in such a position, is it okay for black to give up the bishop on e7, or should you protect it? Let's say, can I play something like bishop e6, and strategically, is that a mistake or is it okay?
Since Gukesh has allowed Nodirbek to take that bishop for the last 3 moves, and Nodirbek hasn't bothered, I'm going to go with it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, by now, I think we can conclude that they don't think that bishop matters at all.
So bishop e6, knight a5, both having
Yeah.
I think an equalish position. Maybe let's go for knight a5. White plays short castle, perhaps.
So the thing is, I can't make any knight takes d5 tactic work, right?
Knight takes d5. But bishop a5, I think there's queen a5 check.
It's check, yeah, but I was hoping that queen a4, but maybe knight b3 kills that.
Queen a4 here.
Yeah, and then just knight b3.
Ooh, that's a nice move. Yeah, knight
Also,
b3.
c3 wasn't bad, so forget it.
Oh yeah, c3 as well. So we can go for short castle instead. Maybe now your plan of knight d5 could work, potentially. And now
I mean, if I
bishop.
wanted, I can start with queen a4 instead of castles.
In this position, queen a4.
Knight,
b3.
knight
and
d5.
Knight takes d5. Wow.
Knight takes d5, but it's bluff. Because after queen c4, you just take on d2 in your d7.
And some queen f5 checks ideas if you capture back on d2. That looks quite nice.
I mean, minimum.
So Gukesh having a good I mean, not a great position, but I think very comfortable position for black so far.
It seems that his original idea kind of cleared the decks nicely. I'd be curious to learn what was best played.
So after knight f5, white's best move apparently is rook d1.
D.
Rook d1 in this position. Just knight b3, I guess, or bishop e6 is. Maybe knight b3 not so much because you
He's
have
gone back
knight
to
c6.
A5.
He's gone back to a5. Let's go. Now we were looking at short castle, but that was not really very good for white. But rook d1 was the move here.
What's the idea of rook d1? Looks like an interesting move, right?
I think you're using some, I don't know, you're preempting knight b3 to some extent, I guess. And bishop e6 and risk. Is it a risk-free position, or do you think there's still a lot happening with something like g4 potentially? Because I
Feels
heard
a
you
bit
mention.
late for G4,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if something else is possible. Like even castles.
Okay, short castles and maybe something like rook b8, I guess.
Yeah, but then you're really setting yourself up for knight c6.
Yeah. Maybe rook c8 then. And then
Yeah,
we
at
play
least
knight.
takes care of the c6 square.
This looks difficult for Nodirbek, more or less.
It's going to be a long game.
Yeah. So far, in every game of Nodirbek, in round 1, round 2, he was in a worse position with the white pieces after move 10. I mean, with Arjun, you can kind of explain, but it almost feels like this is happening on purpose. Like, I saw him do this against Gukesh as well in Menorca Masters, I believe, where he went into this double bishop, some English opening it was, and very, very crazy position. Is that a strategy to some extent? Because
I think he plays provocative openings, but here let's look at what happened. In against Neiman, he just got the bad. I mean, Neiman had a different structure with rook e8 and a6 b5.
yeah.
And he misplayed that and got into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Clear trouble.
Yeah.
So, but already after a4, b4, knight e4, you could tell that this is not looking good for white, right?
Yes.
With Arjun, obviously got to a big soup. But that's very original play.
Yes.
And I don't see some overall pattern, let's put it that way. I think these are explained by the specific things that he did. I'm not going to argue he somehow aimed for this.
I see. So, Nodirbek thinking, any other game?
updates, maybe?
By the way, Arjun looks like some updates have happened and the bar has not
he has
favored
played
him.
d5 on the board, yeah?
Also, your move. Bishop b8 now incoming, and we're not going to say anything else on.
My God, it's a 2-point drop. Is the evaluation 1.7 minus 1.7? Because that one is hugging the second rank. So,
I mean, bishop b8, and if I played knight f3, then I'm guessing even knight h4 looks kind of interesting, but bishop d5 is simple enough, yeah, with just bishop f3 ideas.
bishop d5, bishop f3, and is there a difference? What is it? It's
That's minus
5.
4, wow.
Minus 4.5. Yeah. Okay, that's clear enough. So that means there is a move which is not knight f3. It's not f4. So it's what, g3?
It has to be g3.
Allowing bishop d5 with check. That's how bad this is.
And now king g1 back again, yeah?
King g1 or king h2. I mean, apparently king h2 is stronger here, but king h2 and I'm.
But you see that after g3, it's not collapsing either. So
I was a bit afraid of knight h4 ideas in this position, but I see the knight very smartly defends all the safe square. But maybe knight h4, knight g2 could be a possibility. And also, let's not forget rook e3 at some
knight
moment.
h4, I have bishop f4 probably. Somewhere. Yeah.
Can I do it?
Oh.
Can I do it?
You want to play queen f4? Did I
Yes.
miss something?
Oh, no, it's definitely me who missed something, but I've been trying to make one of these ideas work the whole event.
Just take it and
This
file
is
it out,
very
yeah?
clever. He just played, the computer just goes queen b6 because if bishop b8, knight f3 wins. So in fact, it's not even a blunder.
Oh, wow.
Well done, Saj.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. But, sir, I think I can do it again. I can do queen d4, no?
No, it's knight f3 check actually. It's enough. You don't.
But queen d4, knight f3, I think it's. No, maybe. But yeah,
Knight
you're
f3
right.
is winning in.
Yeah, you're right. So I think we can go back to e takes d5. Pranesh thinking here. No tactics if I go bishop d5 straight or anything like that, because I see Pranesh is thinking here, and maybe bishop g6 is possible. Sorry.
Yeah, but I feel like the queen on d1 is also misplaced, right? I think it's many degrees. So I think if bishop g6, then bishop g6 at some point, or
Well, let's try bishop d5.
Bishop
Oh, you mean now,
g6. At g6. Oh, okay, you win the.
No, wait, don't play h g6. Play bishop b8.
Yes. Now I like this. Yes. There is f4 apparently. So you take on h7. Black plays king h8, and then we play.
F4. Oh, queen g1. I was thinking rook e3, rook e3,
Four.
queen f4. But then he just shamelessly goes queen g1.
And sir, what does this mean, sir?
What's that?
What does this mean, sir? That there was some fight, no, between the queen and the king you mentioned, and
they're pretending to be angry. Huh?
You got me there, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's a tough one to answer. Okay, bishop b8 looks like the way to go, right?
Yeah, bishop b8 and provoking g3, and then you go for this bishop takes d5 and a very, very good advantage. Shall we take a quick look at Hans versus Firuza? Oh, we have an opposite colored bishop.
Yawn. Let's go.
Agreed, sir. Let's go to Andregen versus Nihal. Oh, he has taken on d5 and he has played c6. This is the position I believe you were mentioning. You wanted to take on c6 here and play bishop c2 and
Or
maybe
something
put.
like that, rook c1, whatever.
And this position is, you said, is slightly more preferred for
Queen
white.
or queen d2, rook e1, whatever. So many ways of doing this, right?
So why is, if you could explain it to us, why is this so much more convenient for white?
I don't see easily how black can attack the e4 pawn. And white's got this opportunity to perhaps queen c2. I don't know exactly which move. Maybe queen c2 and rook a d1 or rook e1. And then e4 and f4 are well covered, and black cannot do anything. Black cannot play d5 because I play e5. There doesn't seem to be anything. It just looks fun for white to play.
You just want to take and play queen c2 and e1 and some weaknesses. Is this something that that usually happens in King's Indian, or is it, or this is an actually a worse position?
I'm sure the game's played like this.
Really?
Yeah.
I see.
King's Indian is very popular. I mean, anything is likely to have been played a few times at least.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. It looks very, very pleasant for white, but generally, I've never played King's Indian with the black pieces myself, and always wondered to what degree does the danger go, for black.
The computer really likes Andrekin's position.
Yes.
It really likes Pranesh's position.
It claims that Pranesh is completely winning here. To some extent, he's still
this is
thinking.
the one to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Gukesh, Nodirbek is also thinking after that knight a5 move. So we have some time here with pawn takes d5.
So one question on Nihal. I think Nihal, of course, has been awesome at the online format for a long time now. It seems to be translating to the over-the-board version as well. He recently became the world bullet chess champion as well. So any thoughts on his growth in the last couple of years? We've seen him rise rapidly, I think.
The bullet was offline.
So it was online, sir.
Also.
So,
Yes.
It was bullet chess championship, sir.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering how that translated.
So it's like, I think he's always been so good at the online format. I think now we're seeing that in the classical as well.
Yes, but he's been strong in classical as well for quite some time. Strong enough. I mean, we can always argue about these things, but I think he's strong enough. And when somebody crosses a line, he's usually quick to pounce.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's also because he was aiming for that 2700 mark for such a long time, and very recently he broke through, and also he won the Tata Steel Rapid. Then he wins Bullet Championship, and with that 15-0 kind of a streak against Firuza, and it looks like he's growing more and more and more across all formats there.
I think he played something.
Nihal?
I think
Nihal
Pranesh.
has played. Oh, sorry, you mean Pranesh has
Oh,
played
he
Bishop
did?
takes D5.
Wow.
Oh, sorry. I think he's going for your line with Bishop G6 and Queen B8. With Bishop B8 and I think we were looking at some F4 and some Queen G1, which could save the day.
Yeah, but Bishop G6, Head G6, Queen G6, Bishop B8, F4 is also kind of stuck, right?
G6, Bishop B8, and
F4.
F4. Okay, now I have to do it now, right?
Well, no, it's a draw because Queen H8, E8, H5 is a draw.
Oh, right.
But that means he didn't evaluate it as better. He just thought, okay, what's the big difference? Because if you thought you were better, you would start with Bishop B8, of course.
So is nerves a factor here in this? Because he's playing against, Arjun in the sense.
It's possible that respect for Arjun plays a role, but maybe he just didn't realize he had an advantage.
I see. So he has seen the draw, of course, with Queen 8 and Queen H5, and I think he's.
Yes. And he's allowing it with Arjun.
And
Now the question is, Arjun must know that that's a pretty good deal in this position, and he should probably take it.
100%. In fact, now that I took a peek here as well, like instead of Rook E3, you can just play Queen F7, and apparently Black can play on, but looks unlikely though, but definitely possible. Trying to see if there's any other way for him to continue the game on. Really, yeah.
Looks tough.
Yeah.
So how many results can we expect today? I mean, we have had one so far every single day. If this goes to a draw, then maybe...
No, it's just one result in 3 draws all across, and I think could be tough.
I mean, at the moment, it seems that Andrekin has the biggest advantage.
In this position.
Okay, Nihal knows these structures very well, yeah? He's very tricky with these structures sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. You were mentioning Queen C2, Rook E1, and that looks kind of promising. And yeah, I would love.
We could play Queen B1.
That's danger.
Actually, wait a minute. After Queen C2, here, the Queen C2, I realized that we simply missed Knight takes E4. Does that work?
Knight takes C4. Bishop takes C4 looks interesting, so maybe. Because I was thinking after D5, I can go Knight takes D5 to Bishop E4. Maybe it's not light as much, but I was thinking this and this. But maybe you have Knight takes C4 as well.
D5 and Queen B6, Queen C6 over.
After Knight E4?
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I was thinking here.
If I take on E4 and go Rook B8?
Take on E4, Bishop takes E4, Rook B. Oh!
I mean, you can take on A8, yeah. But it looked, I couldn't believe it. Queen A8, ED3 looked nice, but maybe Queen A7 is just too strong.
Maybe EF3. But then Queen F3 just. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. So coming back to the position, I think he's still thinking. Queen C2 is what we're looking at. Any other way that
then Queen D2 I think is simplest. Or maybe even some more like Bishop F2.
Bishop F2. Bishop F2, maybe I can go Knight H5. Let's try that.
And Queen D2, just go Bishop F6. Yes, maybe.
Now I'm going to pretend I saw that. I was thinking more Queen F6 territory. Yeah.
Arjun's disadvantage is more or less vanished, which I think means that it wants him to take the draw.
Yeah, for sure. I think Arjun's game might even be finished in the next 10 minutes or so, yeah? I think
possible. I think we had one very quick result every single day, so this might be Arjun. And what's happening in Gukesh's game?
By the way, Nodirbek has just broken the center with E4. Some simplifications. So what do you make of this position? I think trades everything or? But you have Bishop E4 at the end and maybe you can hit.
Wait, what if I play Knight B3 here?
Knight B3. Oh, can I do it?
But ED5. Then I go Knight takes D4.
Then Knight C6 first.
Knight
and
C6
then,
first, okay. Queen D7.
And then ED5. Oh,
Then I have
that's
bishop f5 in the answer.
queen f5.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Good, good.
wow,
Yeah,
nice.
sure. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes,
That clinches it. Yeah.
finally it worked. Aiming for it the whole tournament.
Yeah. So instead of knight b3, what do? I just go rook c8, I think. Maybe that way I cover the c6 square. So I threaten knight b3. And
Rook c8, okay.
you can take everything on d5 and then take on a5 and take on c4, but I'll get the pawn back. So
So takes. Bishop d5, queen d5, takes
a5,
this as
queen
well.
a5, knight c4, queen d5, and I get the pawn back. So
And is this just a draw? Or do you think Gukesh has maybe he's going to play on for some a little bit?
I think already white was slightly lucky that he has queen e2 now bypassing
Right.
the direct so many complications. But I could go queen a6 for instance, and you can't put either rook on c1 because I'll play bishop g5. So you have to go queen e4, and you're fine.
Oh, that's very nice actually. Very, very nice. Yeah, it's very nice.
We could have a calm day, I think, today. Huh? 4 draws also possible, unless somehow Andrekin pulls off a miracle here.
Or Nihal is just gonna say no. I mean, I think we have some updates on. Yeah, I think Arjun has taken on g6, so I think we might see that repetition and coming very, very soon. Provided that Arjun is okay with a draw. Maybe I can play king g1, or is that giving too much to Pranesh? I was thinking king g1 and g3 maybe.
Very hard to believe. I mean, what has white got that he is declining a draw?
That's a very good question. Very good question. Yeah, good stuff. So I think we'll see a draw here very, very soon, and we have yeah. Any other game? Or shall we just stay this
I
one?
think we need a quick roundup of the games.
Yeah, actually, before we head off to our first
Yeah.
break, let's do a quick roundup. So, wait,
Oh, what?
that can't be.
That must be a
No,
transmission.
sorry, it's not the
That
position.
must
That is the position. You had a variation. Oh,
He played. I think this must be a transmission error. Oh, okay. So this is the position of Hans and Firuja, opposite colored bishop. What do you think, sir? Yawn.
well, not as much as before, but I think I'm forced to refer to the great Mr. Manatsakanya.
Mister?
Manatsakanya. So once he explained in an Arjun position, you know what Arjun means?
Yes.
Arjun
Come on.
Arjun position. A journalist quoted him saying in Mr. Manatsakanyan's expert opinion, white's a pawn up. And that's basically to say that this is an opposite color bishop position seemed like a comment of that category, of that level.
Nice.
But white has a small edge because I would rather have a bishop on d5 here if I can. It gives me very small chances against b7, but overall I think it's a draw. But by not making a move, not making a decision, black has to keep on waiting, and that can be annoying. Though how white can take advantage of it, I don't know. It's not like white can go bishop c4 and b4, and, or maybe he can. I don't know. So
He actually is kind of making waiting moves. I guess just king a7. I don't know. So yeah, this would be a nice way to draw.
also Neiman doesn't look that exciting.
Yeah.
After yesterday's game, I think he was that against Arjun. He had a. I mean, Arjun just got a great position out of the opening, and he just won in such a great style. Yeah, I think also Hans was winning in the first two games as well. So I think that kind of also adds on
For sure.
to all of this. So taking it to the next game, Andrekin versus Nihal. He has played Queen D2 now.
Yeah.
Any chances for Nihal, or do you think this is still a fight? What's your take?
It's better for white. I don't think you can ignore that, but I don't know, is knight c5 possible?
C5.
But I can even take in d5 or something. Yeah, it's just no fun for white.
So slightly better for Andreken, or maybe a lot better for Andreken. Nihal in some trouble. Let's go to Nodirbek versus Gukesh. He has played rook c8 after e4. And I know the bar shows that it's equal, but any practical chances for either side?
Not after e4. I mean, after e4, I feel it's going to just liquidate over there.
So looks like
Maybe a draw, yeah?
maybe a draw, equality. And then we have Arjun versus Pranesh, which most likely is going to head into...
Is this the position?
Yeah, that's the current position. He has just played f4.
So now Pranesh knows that he has a draw on tap and whether he's going to take it or not.
Yeah.
I think yesterday also he had a similar situation against Nodirbek in that e4, c5, knight c3, d4, and where Nodirbek took rook c4,
Yes.
and some repetition happened early
Sure.
on. So second quick draw, I think, incoming for Pranesh there. So three draws, one result.
Yeah, it's in sync with what's happened in the past, yeah? So it makes a lot of sense. But I think the first game may be this one, yeah? Arjun Erigasi,
Yeah.
holding off to a draw. I think you should be happy with that draw, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is the time for the first short break. I think some exciting chess coming up after this one, and we can see the first result coming in very, very soon. And of course, Rishi sir, it's an honor to have you here in Chennai. I mean, we have 2 world champions under the same roof. I mean, it cannot get better than that. So thank you, everyone. We'll be back after a very, very short break with some more chess action.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back on day 4 here, and we have a very special guest. Welcome, Kincho, a very famous streamer from Hungary. How does it feel to be here at the Chennai GM Master? You were with us last year as well.
Yes, thank you so much for the warm welcome. I just arrived yesterday at like 6 a.m. around that time. So yesterday was full of tiredness. Didn't really like find my place exactly, but after a good night of rest, I went to the gym today. So now I'm full of energy, and it's amazing to be back here at this tournament. I have really good memories of Chennai since it was actually the first time I visited India. First time I've been outside of Europe, so it's very nice to be back. It's a bit nostalgic as well, and it's great to see everyone. Some of the people we also met last year here, so I'm having a lot of fun, and yeah, it's looking like a great event also. So I think let's maybe just dive into the games as we have some updates actually.
First update is that Arjun and Pranesh have drawn their games. But Kinjo, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Do you have a favorite in this tournament?
Actually, I already have been asked yesterday about this.
So I'm a bit late, yeah?
Yeah. Well, yesterday I said that I would jump on this hype train and say that I'm rooting for Alireza.
Okay.
I'm still standing by that.
Well, it looks like you're not very far up, because he's the tournament leader with 2.5 out of 3, and then Arjun is the one who is catching up to him. But it feels like Arjun has already drawn his match, so that means a draw by Alireza would put him at a sole lead position in this tournament as it is. So your prediction might be right.
Absolutely, and in the meantime, let's take a look at the Alireza Hans game now that we had already mentioned it, and let's see what they have been up to.
So where did we leave it, Sahaj?
We left it at the part where Vishy sir said yawn after this game. So that's pretty much about it. And I think the last couple of moves really show why Vishy sir was saying yawn, because it feels like nobody's doing anything. Because White has played A3, Black has played A6, and then they're just shuffling the pieces around, waiting for the right breakthrough in the position.
Yeah, absolutely. Opposite colored bishops, and it's looking like there's nothing that either side can do. But time is a critical factor here for Hans Niemann. 2 games at the start he drew, both in better or winning positions. And then yesterday was the disaster against Arjun, and he blundered in a complex middle game. But now again, it looks like he can't get a win here, Kincho.
I mean, I think it's great in the sense that he can maybe jump back in a bit. Losing a game and having to make a comeback after that is always extremely difficult. And I think maybe securing a draw here would give him like a little bit of more comfort. Like, okay, I still got this. I'm not out of my game, and then maybe in the next games he can try and aim for the win. It does feel like he's trying to find something in the position, especially with like Queen G4, trying to put some pressure on this E6 square, although the position is equal. So of course he's like trying to find something, but the question is there anything really in this position? What do you think, Sahaj?
I'm just gonna say what Vishy sir said, yawn. I feel this is gonna be a draw in just a couple of minutes as well. In fact, I see Queen E7 as a potential way to defend. White can play Queen H5 back, Queen C7, and I think this is what we call a grandmaster draw, because basically when there is no way to progress in the position, there's no breakthroughs, there's no sacrifices. The only way that I see White can play on in this position, if you somehow sacrifice Rook takes G3, let's say Rook D3, Rook G3, but I don't see that happening simply because Hans has half the time in comparison to Alireza in this position, which makes playing on very, very difficult from Hans's perspective. So I'm going to predict like an easy draw, maybe like a very quick draw in this position. However, I would love to take you to the game of Nodirbek versus Gukesh, because looks like Gukesh has a slight advantage in this position.
Let's go. And we have so much history of these two players. Remember 2022 Olympiad. Gukesh starts off at 8 out of 8 and then he's absolutely winning but makes a one move blunder and loses to Nodirbek, and even India B, who were destined to win gold there, finished in third place. So lot of history that every time they play there's some excitement. Remember Tata Steel where a rook was hung
Oh, yes.
in the same matchup.
Absolutely, I remember, and it was a check as well, and
Yeah.
it was a very, very big mistake by the world champion. Of course, that's not going to happen again. That's a very rare sight, from an extremely strong player, but it happens, I think, from time to time. However, I feel Nodirbek has had an incredibly good score against Gukesh so far. I think that streak could be broken in this match itself because that's a pretty hefty advantage for Gukesh. For example, if he takes bishop f3, white goes knight takes f3, I now have to find some way to put my queen on d5 without blundering my bishop on e7. So bishop f6, queen d5,
So
something
maybe we
along
can
those lines.
show that to chat because Gukesh has 52 minutes. So I don't know, bishop f3 first, Kincho.
Yeah.
So you trade, send the knight back, bishop f6, keeping an eye on the d4 pawn, and next queen to d5 like Sahaj mentioned. So I think Guki is taking over.
100%. And actually, I just took a look at their head-to-head score in this year. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, Gukesh had scored half
Oh my
in
god.
this year against Nodirbek.
Wow. Wait.
It is
Sahaj,
No, but that's
repeat
actually
that
crazy.
for everyone in the house.
So in
and watching.
2026, the score between Nodirbek and Gukesh is 6.5 to Nodirbek across all formats. It's classical, rapid, and blitz both. Only one classical game, I think, out of all of them. But that is insane, I think. But I think that streak can be broken because Gukesh has a hefty advantage in this position. As you can see, he's played bishop f6 to defend that bishop, and now he's planning to go queen d5 next. And looks very, very promising for the world champion. Could this be his first win in his home soil after becoming a world champion?
I think it would be an amazing feeling to, break that cycle, break that streak that has been building up in this year so far, and to do that here in Chennai as well, where I think in the first edition of this tournament he won, right? If I'm not mistaken. So breaking that streak here would be an amazing feeling for sure. And so far he's been showing that he's coming for that. He's trying his very best to break this streak. And as you guys mentioned, there is definitely potential in this game to go very well for the world champion.
Yeah, for sure. And what better day to beat Nodirbek and get your first win as the world champion on your home side, and when the day Vishy sir arrives.
Oh, yes. I mean,
That would be crazy. That would be iconic indeed. And having three superstars from Chennai, Vishy sir, Gukesh, and Goofy, who are all here. It would be the perfect moment for and there's Goofy over there. Hi,
Hey.
how are you doing? Nice. So Bishop f6 was played by Gukesh, I believe. Is that already on the board? Or
no.
is that
You're still here and at Bishop c4. So Gukesh is still thinking, but he has some time to figure out how to approach this position since he's up by 10 minutes, around 10 minutes. So he's not in a much of a hurry, which I think is great news because doesn't put that much pressure on him, and it's comfortable. He can figure out how to go forwards.
Yeah, and speaking of the rivalry, look at both of them. They are absolutely locked in. They're glued to the board. They're not walking around, not chilling, not taking a break. And this is what Nodirbek mentioned at the start of the event. He said that of course, there is so much rivalry between them. They both play board one for their respective countries in the last 2 Olympiads at least. And Nodirbek said, don't expect a calm, chill draw. I am here to play the world champion, and he is going to put up a fight. But can Gukesh take over Sahaj like bishop f3? Or, I have a thought. What if he becomes greedy and chops off the pawn on a3.
So are we doing that immediately, or are we taking the bishop on f3 first and then we're taking
Very
on
important
a3?
question.
Both of them, I think, seem quite promising. To be honest, I didn't even see the pawn on a3 is hanging.
I think that's what Gukesh is thinking.
You see, I saw, but I thought it was an obviously bad move. Because why? Why is it not happening then?
But I think bishop a3 maybe has some possibilities of a kingside attack. Like I'm thinking rook e3, for example, and maybe we can go for some rook lift on the king side. Let's say take on d5, play rook h3, something along those lines, and that complicates, I think, things a bit. But I think we know Gukesh loves, these complications itself. So this is right up his alley.
Yeah, now I'm kind of rooting for this bishop takes a3. I mean, it would be interesting to see it. It also gives, some tension that the pawn has been taken off the board. Not really, like the silent play, trading, putting the bishops in better squares and stuff, but chop off that pawn, and maybe like it can also look interesting. What if this pawn starts running down? There is nothing really to stop it. Like all of the pawns disappeared from around, so it gives like an interesting nuance in the game.
Yeah, for sure. If he chops off that pawn on a3, I'm predicting we will have a decisive result. I don't know with which color or for whom.
Wait. Has he just gone for it?
Yes!
Oh wow!
Oh
that
my
was
God,
a miss. That was a miss by the world champion. I think
Wow.
he is still aiming for that a3 pawn. He wants to take bishop a3.
For sure.
And in some sense, I think Gukesh is inviting Nodirbek to defend that pawn by playing a4. Because if you played a4, then bishop b4. And now we have some pressure on the c3 square. That is the plan, what Gukesh is hoping for. But there is some counterplay here, Rakesh.
Yeah, I think if you go after a5, right?
Yes.
If you go after a5, I think now maybe something like the kingside attack you were mentioning.
Yeah.
Can I slide my bishop in the center so that if you take, you have to take, otherwise the pawn is hanging. Now my rook can come in, and I got that rook lift you were mentioning, King Joe.
Yes, absolutely. And this looks very interesting and kind of scary as well, because I mean we would have the rook here on g4 looking at the g7. Bishop also on c3 can become dangerous after a potential d5 push. So this is definitely something that Nodirbek has to consider, and we can actually see that Nodirbek kind of leaned in even more. He knows that there is something weird or like something interesting about this position. So I think his spidey senses are tingling for sure.
For sure. I wasn't watching throughout because I was playing a simul back in the fan zone here.
Wow.
So, if you're in Chennai, we have few more days. And in fact, tomorrow on International Chess Day, we're going to be having lots of activities here in Chennai at the venue. So speaking of that, I wasn't listening if you were when you and Tiku were commentating with Rishi sir, but Sahaj, did you notice something different about Gukesh today? And question to chat as well. Chat always picks up on these things. So there's something different that Guki did today. It's not on the board, but it's on his chair. It's his lucky grey jacket that he always had when he won the candidates, when he won the world championship. And we did see it in the first 3 days. But today against Nodirbek, he has brought his lucky grey jacket.
Wow. Not gonna lie, this information kind of gave me the chills because I didn't actually notice it. So this actually means that he really, really wants to go for the win. Not only in his chess, but only like outside of chess with all of the luck, all of the manifestation he can get. So we see that this is a very important match for him.
Yeah, I think
even more important than we anticipated.
This game means a lot. There's so much rivalry, and if there was one game which he wanted to win before the event started, it was against Nodirbek.
Of course, and we know, there are so many reasons for that, and of course, one of them is, for the World Championship, for the upcoming World Championship, where you asked Nodirbek if he is, kind of helping Sindaro for the World Championship, and he said yes, he is. So, when you play against a second of your opponent's second, you have to, prove a point there. So for both players, I think this is a very, very important game. Of course, for Nodirbek, he's playing on Gukesh's home ground. So that for him also is a statement. So
yeah, in a few months' time, we'll see Gukesh go to Uzbekistan and play on Nodirbek and Sindaro's hometown. So definitely something brewing up here.
Absolutely. I feel like there is a lot of mind games going on here now that we pointed out these like playing in each other's home countries. I'm sure that Nodirbek knows that if he manages to win here, it's gonna sting a lot, especially in the light of the upcoming events in Uzbekistan.
Also
So
considering their score in 2026,
Yeah, I mean,
that's 6.5 out of 7. I mean, that's an
Absolutely
incredible
crazy.
record against a world champion. That's ridiculous.
But Sahaj, I think you would have liked if the score was 6-7.
I would have liked it if the score was,
Oh my God.
like a lot closer. I always like a closer fight, because I believe these two players are, I mean, very, very strong, incredibly strong, and they always try to play for a win. That's what I appreciate about both of these, chess players there, and they always give us a very, very good fight. Barring that one game that you just reminded me of, where the rook was blundered
On F5.
on F5 or F6, I think it was, and I think that's the game which was. Maybe not as much of a fight, but apart from that, I think every game we have seen, commentated on, watched as a viewer, and analyzed on, I think it's always a fight. So Gukesh has played A5. He did not take the bait with A3. He should have in this instance. And now we were looking at Bishop E4, Bishop takes E4. And I have a question for you, Rakesh. Why should I capture back with my rook here? Why can't I capture back with the queen? Because that's bringing another piece into play, and then I can make an argument. Then I can play rook e3 and rook g3, and now I'm technically attacking with an extra piece in the position.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a very interesting question, but
Let's play queen e4. Maybe let's have it on the board.
Okay, absolutely. I don't know. I would just be like uncomfortable to have the queen here in the center, simply because I don't know, maybe some rook e8, and then again this bishop f6. Having the queen on the e file is, I don't know. It doesn't look so human, or like it doesn't look so comfortable for me. But I also understand that there are some ideas here with maybe like knight c6. So in case one of
Also,
the players
bishop a3
already
could be
sit.
possible here as well, right? Because if you had to compare the two positions here, Rakesh, where Gukesh is taking bishop a3 on the previous move with the pawn on a7, and this position with the pawn on a5, maybe the pawn on a5 is a better it's a better position in comparison, because you can always play bishop b4.
Yeah, and it's, 2 squares further to that queening square. Remember, no pawn in front of that. That pawn can just go marching on and on. And that's why I feel maybe if we go back to the recapture on e4, I like rook takes e4, and then suddenly the rook can swing over and you have to be a little worried there.
I agree. I would probably take with rook for this exact reason. It's also easier to now lift the rook, whereas if we take with the queen, we need to make that extra move of rook e3. So I think it saves also some time, and I don't know. For me, it's just a little bit more human than putting the queen on the e file, where there could be some interesting stuff going on.
So let's do a bit of a deep dive in this position after rook takes e4, which I totally calculated on my own, by the way. Black plays f5, and I completely saw this. White plays rook f4, queen d5, rook takes f5. So white goes rook f4, queen d5. I'm just sacking the pawn here. Rook takes f5, rook takes f5. Queen takes f5, and okay, I put the rook somewhere, let's say to d8 or to e8. Let's say d8 just for the sake of this position. Now, before, Gukesh could have taken the pawn and given away the initiative. But in this position, it is Nodirbek who has the pawn, but there is no attack on the king side. So you could argue that it is Gukesh who has the initiative in this position. What do you make of this, Rakesh? Do you like this for black, or do you think Nodirbek has good chances in this position?
I mean, I would rather be a pawn up than a pawn down. And I think also it's the golden pawn that Gukesh is touching with f5's edge. You've been a connoisseur of not touching the golden pawn. And your thoughts, like, does f5 come naturally? And, if we go back to that position after queen e4, one option is bishop a3, you are a pawn up, versus f5 and you are a pawn down.
Oh, that's a very, very good point. So after the move rook takes e4 or queen takes e4, in that, if we can have that, basically what Rakesh is saying is that if you played f5 in this position, Gukesh gives up the pawn, and if he takes on a3, he takes the pawn. And it's an I think, very complicated question in chess, which we often wonder, what is better, material or initiative? And I think there are, points to be made for either side. Which team are you on, material or initiative?
I am 100% on the initiative side.
Initiative?
Material.
Material. No surprise.
So you're the tiebreaker here.
No, I'm always team initiative, I would say. Though I would prefer the move f5, but it also means I would have to push my golden pawn here, Rakesh, which you know that is not always the most pleasant thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and maybe while Nodirbek thinks on how to proceed, maybe we can have a look at Nihal Sarin's game against Dmitry Andreikin, and the world bullet champion has half the amount of time of his opponent.
And the position is also not so pleasant, according to the computer at least. Why is this position so bad for black? I mean, I assume this is a big weakness just by the looks of it. But is there like something concrete besides this? Let's see.
I see something which this time even if I said that I saw it on my own, no one's gonna believe it. So I did take a peek here, and there is a sacrifice possible here, Rakesh, which is
Okay.
Yeah.
I think go for it.
Yeah, very
it away,
thematic in these positions.
Yes.
We are talking about initiative versus material. Andreikin should be on team in initiative and push the pawn in the center. E5, let's go. Giving up a pawn for free, you chop it, d takes e5, and I do not recapture to open up my rook, but I push f5 and bringing home the light squared bishop, opening files, opening diagonals, and the professional pickleball player in some trouble.
For sure, I think 100%. And if people in the audience or people in the chat are wondering, why did we sacrifice the pawn in the first place, right? We could have played f5 immediately. Now, this all is a very thematic idea inside Benoni, Benko, or King's Indian type of positions, where you play e5, so you make sure that a piece cannot arrive on that square on e5. So let's say if we had gone f5 instead, black could have played knight e5. Now that knight is way more dangerous than any pawn of black, even if it means for us to sacrifice the central pawn in this position. So this is why Rakesh said this is, strictly initiative that he's going for. Push e5, take the pawn, push f5, and Nihal in some trouble. And I see he has not done it.
Yeah, good news for Nihal Sarin fans because Andreikin.
Actually, yes, Andreikin didn't go for e5. He went with bishop c4, which I was actually my idea. So I mean, ooh.
Wow, that's a beautiful move by Nihal Sarin, pushing the d pawn, breaking the center. And of course, e takes d5 is a blunder in this position because the bishop on e3 hangs. So that leaves out capturing with the knight, so or the bishop. Which one is it gonna be?
I mean, I would capture with the knight simply because I'm still giving some hopes for some weaknesses on f7. So in
Looks
case...
like Dimitri agrees with you. He has also gone knight takes d5 in this position.
Very good, very good.
And now
I mean,
think
here just trade off everything, maybe, would be safe.
You know what's, I think d5 move is impressive in its own. It's just the speed at which Nihal played it. He took, I'm just taking a look here because I actually don't believe the numbers here, because he took some 59 seconds to play a move like d5. That's quite impressive, I think, considering how complicated the position is. It involves a pawn sacrifice, and it's the best move in the position.
I mean, bullet champion for a reason, I guess.
Queen d5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For a second, my heart always stops when something like this happens.
But yeah, luckily we have the cameras as well. Queen d5 played, and now the reason why the game is completely equal is knight will come to f6, and then you can chop off on e4. There are going to be mass trades and Kincho. This game looks like it's heading towards a draw.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's great news for Nihal because the position a few moves ago didn't really look super promising. But luckily, or well, not really about luck, but fortunately, I guess the opponent misunderstood the position and didn't really see this e5 motif. Actually, I'm just wondering, like, how common is this for you guys? Like, would you be able to see this immediately? Is this like a really big miss from Andreikin's side, or is it like an understandable miss?
I think so. It's a pretty big miss, but it's like you have seen these ideas many times, and it's quite thematic. And like Sahaj mentioned, the e5 square has to be given to a pawn and not a piece. But it's like if I ask Andreikin after the game, white to play and there's something, he finds it in like half a millisecond. So that's the thing here, Sahaj. And how common it is for you? Like, can you spot it immediately?
Actually, I have a story on this. I was playing against Grandmaster Vishnu Prasanna, who is, Gukesh's coach, his former coach in that sense. And he is an avid King's Indian player. So I had prepared this one opening against him, and I could predict like the first few moves, and there was this exact same motif of e5 and f5, which actually happened on the board. But I pretended during the game that it was on the board. So I pretended to think a bit and try to make out the moves, and it worked out really well for me. Of course it was a very messy game, but I would say this motif is more or less quite common, especially in King's Indian structures. But it's not exactly like a King's Indian structure. Usually you have the pawn on c4, you have a pawn on d5 as well. So those trades that have happened on the queen side with the d and c pawns, I think those are maybe one of the reasons why it is complicated to not play e5 in this position, because that bishop on b7 is left open. Yeah. Generally you play e5 to restrict your opponent's play, but if you're opening up the longest diagonal in the position that hits your king, it's a tough decision over the board.
Yeah, for sure. And Sahaj, you mentioned that it was a messy game. So did you win that game in the end?
Yes, I did actually. And you know what? Until the very last move, actually maybe the last three moves, it was a dead draw.
There you go.
So following the culture. And speaking of, by the way, looks like Gukesh's tactic has worked out in his favor, because Nodirbek has played that move a4.
That's not good news for Nodirbek and his fans, because as you mentioned, freeing up that b4 square, and Kinsho, that bishop b4 move looks so good for black.
Oh, absolutely.
And looks like Gukesh's trick has worked.
I mean, we're really hoping that, if the opponent took, we take back. Actually, I'm just going to put this on the board.
Oh, this is over.
Then, I mean, this looks amazing. The two pawns just coming down. There is no way to stop it. So this bishop b4 comes probably very naturally. So I think this is definitely going to happen within at least a couple of next minutes. And I mean, what can white do here? Because I feel like black also has so much space now. It's not that easy for my... Oh,
wow.
yes.
Let's
there
go,
we
Gukesh.
go.
And now you can exchange both of the bishops in this position with bishop f3 and bishop c3, put the queen on d5, and it at some point in this game, it looked like Nodirbek is, cooking up an attack, but with no minor pieces, just one knight on the board. And okay, you still have major pieces on the board, but that pawn on c4 is a big problem. The pawn on d4 is isolated. It could get taken at any moment. I think Nodirbek would have to think about defense in this, for the rest of this game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It feels like the game kind of flipped a bit. And it also feels like Nodirbek got a bit confused by this a5 move. It really seemed like he felt like something was going on, like something is unusual, something is, it just tickled him a bit. And he didn't make the best choice here. And this b4 square was very important. So he just let Gukesh take over this b4 square. I don't know. It really feels like the initiative is now in Gukesh's hands.
Yeah, for sure. I think you would rather prefer that Gukesh had taken the pawn on the previous move and he gets the initiative and the attack going. So true to Nodirbek's style. But here he has some defending to do.
Also, let's not forget that Gukesh did not take the pawn on a3 earlier, right? But that pawn on a4 is not safe. You could still take that pawn with the queen somehow, with queen e8 or queen d7, provided that the knight is not on e5. But that pawn is a target, like a long-term target. Because look at that knight on b3. It's restricting the queen's view of defending the a4 pawn. It's also stopping the rook from going to a1 as well. So basically that pawn on a4 is just left tender. And they say that threat is better than execution. And maybe that's what Gukesh is aiming for. And looks like his move has paid off.
Yeah, I mean, just trading off these this bishop, as you guys have mentioned before, and just putting the queen on a light square afterwards.
Actually, I think Kinshuk, let's show chat. Like, what if white plays a simple move like h3?
Yeah, and then I think we can just capture, takes back. I'm thinking just bishop queen d7, going for this pawn. I mean, how can white even protect it besides? I mean, not even queen a2 works.
Yeah,
we are blundering the bishop. I mean, I guess
knight e5, I guess, or knight g5 maybe is another move.
Oh, knight g5 is interesting, but I feel like just g6, although it could look dangerous, but this bishop cannot really move for now.
Also, whenever you play d5, I can just trade off the bishops, and maybe there's no problems on the dark squares. And
now this pawn is a problem still. So the question is, how can? Okay,
I don't like this
this
one bit for white. It's just queen takes e4 is a big threat. You can't really save that. So maybe f5 now. Is that possible?
5 years looks
Going
very dangerous. Going all in, yeah.
If the eval doesn't drop, I'm happy.
Yeah, this is not so easy to play for white.
No.
Also, let's not forget, Nodirbek has 27 minutes as opposed to Gukesh, who has 42 minutes or 15-minute cushion for the world champion on top of a slightly better position. I think with the black pieces, this is the best you can hope for in terms of numbers. Now it's all about whether he can keep the pressure on and hopefully convert the game. Do you think it's possible to have a result in this game, Rakesh, or do you think
I'm predicting only a result,
only a result on this game? Wow. And
black win or white win?
Wow. And Kincho,
I think absolutely a result has to happen here.
And we have a packed audience here in Chennai.
Yes.
So I think they are rooting for a Gukesh win for sure.
For sure. And also, the fact that, Arjun also had a quick draw. I think there's another game with Firouz also having a quick draw. We have had sort of a pattern in this tournament. 3 draws, 1 win. So considering that we already have 2 draws, and third one also looks equal, this has to be the game where there is a result. And it looks like Gukesh is much better. So let's go.
The numbers won't lie, hopefully, and we will get a result here. I mean, not only us on the panel, but I mean, even being in the audience and I mean, I would always hope for a result here simply because it's just so exciting and it's such a nice feeling, being here. I mean, we have an amazing day today here. We have Vishy sir, we have a really packed audience, and it would be so amazing to have a result and hopefully, Gukesh can grab the win here, because that would be especially special.
It would be quite special and quite. And there we see the audience is full packed. It's a Sunday.
Sahaj, who's that guy in the first row? Can you tell chat?
I feel like I have seen his face before,
I think everybody in the world has seen
But usually he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, but today
yes.
You see him in a suit and goofy giant chess.
He has a suit on as well, and usually he's wearing sunglasses, and there he is.
Let's go! And fun fact, Gukesh and Goofy both have exactly 1.7 million followers on Instagram.
Amazing. Wow. So I think Nodirbek right now thinking rook e3 is the move. And I took a look at the engine, and rook e3 was maybe the only move that gives Nodirbek a fighting chance. Besides that, it's at least -1. Other moves are you go bishop g4, hit the rook, and then you bring the bishop back to f3. That's how bad the position is. You don't want to trade any pieces. Rook e3 is basically like an only move in this position. You should be having a blue arrow of sorts, to display
a
that.
light blue arrow, maybe.
Yeah, a light blue
That's
arrow.
a great idea for our Chesscom team to maybe try.
Amazing.
Yes.
Like strategically the only move that keeps things, more or less balanced.
I think I like the idea. You protect both the bishops with the rook, so kind of frees up the queen a little bit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, but I'm just still wondering, okay, how can black now move forwards? Okay, white kind of wired their position together, but I just feel like that a4 pawn is such a big weakness that somehow have to be able to put some pressure on it.
By the way, I think he has made a move. Is it rook e3?
Oh, let me see.
Yes.
Yes, we do have rook e3 on the board.
With 24 minutes on the clock and no additional time in this tournament, just 24 minutes and a 30-second cushion. That's all Nodirbek has. So we're going to see some time pressure very, very soon in this game. I think f6 looks kind of logical to me, but it's the golden pawn, and I just
And
feel-
it's not a tactic purpose either.
No, it is a tactical reason. You are hitting the knight on
Oh,
e5,
okay.
so some tactical reason there. But the problem is that I can take on d5, queen takes d5, and there is a very nice tactic in this position. I would give a moment to the chat and to the people in the audience. How would you play as white here? White to play, find the best move, and maybe not get into a worse position. Anyone want to take a guess? White to play?
White to play
Yes.
chat. Yes.
Sai, right? Rook h3. That is 100% correct. Well done. Well done. Rook h3 hitting the pawn on h7. And if I go pawn takes e5? Queen h7. Wow. Very nice. Let's keep going. King f7. Maybe a check on the board. Queen f5 is interesting. I think this king e7.
Yeah,
Actually,
king
this
runs
is
are very
really
sad.
difficult.
Yeah, now
This one
this
is
is-
really, and I think I am the one to blame for this because I think he saw it more than me because I was thinking rook f3 check, but there is queen takes f3 there.
Yeah.
So the move here is rook to g3, attacking the g7 pawn, and somehow the position is equal. It looks anything but equal.
Yeah, I mean,
Mentioned, the threat is greater than execution. So rook g7 is a massive threat for white, and extremely sharp position.
Yep.
it somehow doesn't feel like it's an equal position. Like I feel like white has the initiative, but then the more we look at the moves, the less it feels like, there will be an immediate mate. It's a very tricky position actually.
Yep. I think a very tricky position. So let's go back to the live board with rook e3. Gukesh has a lot of options here. I think he will consider bishop takes d5 and rook h3 as a potential threat in this position. So everything that he is thinking here should be against this idea. So maybe I can go bishop takes f3. And now if you take back with the rook, your pawn on d4 is, I believe, hanging. I think.
Yes.
It's hanging, right? So knight d4, bishop d4, queen d4. I think we can call that a slightly better position. You just have an extra pawn. You should be winning.
Then the knight is also not,
Exactly.
not looking too great here.
Exactly. And if you take back with the knight, then your pieces are completely discoordinated. So if we go back, if white takes back with the knight, now you cannot play rook h3 anymore in this position. So maybe I can continue with f6 or, I don't know, queen d5 or any of the natural looking moves that, solidify your stance in the center. You can push on the queen side. Maybe you can attack the a4 pawn as well. But at the end of the day, no attack.
Yeah, it feels like black definitely has the initiative here and can actually play for the win. And white seems a bit stuck right now. There's so many weaknesses in the position. This d4 pawn can also become like a very weak square. And of course, we have mentioned a4 already. So it feels like white has to take time and take the energy to protect these pawns instead of launching an attack or focusing on launching an attack. Which is, it's never the fun side of chess.
And also not in Nodirbek's, spirit. He would love to play something what we showed earlier. And if you just go back to that position after rook f3, queen h7.
So there's f6.
F6.
Bishop takes
Sure.
d5, queen takes
Takes.
d5, rook h3, f take rook h3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we have it already. If you can just click on here, like king f7. And, chat, the Chess24 chat was very confused, was saying, wait, rook f3, queen f3, what?
Is that not working?
No, it is working, but they were confused. So if you could just
okay.
complete that for chat.
Oh, I didn't check this actually. Oh, actually, that's not the best move in the position. It's
not.
apparently king e6.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with queen f3? Isn't that in 3 pieces?
Takes
Queen f3,
and
g3,
you
bishop
chop
c3.
the bishop as well. You get one more piece.
I thought it's 3 pieces, but maybe you have a perpetual in the position.
Oh,
Yeah, but queen f5 check
that's feel like it.
King G8 and Queen E6
Queen
check.
E6, and you just
Yeah.
stick on that diagonal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't play Rook F7 because the Rook on C8 hangs. So that's the problem.
Right,
Wow.
right. So the move instead of Queen F3 is to play King E6.
Yeah. After
Well,
Rook F3.
that's
check.
the engine preference there, as we can see.
Wow.
Okay, but not an easy move.
To be honest,
whatsoever.
good catch by Chet.
Yeah.
Like, they always keep us
On our
correct.
toes.
Yes, on our toes. Yes.
So yeah, I think maybe it's a good time to check out the other game. Let's see if Nihal has completely equalized, maybe.
Let's see that game. All right.
Oh, this is, I think, a dream position from what it was, a couple of moves back.
Yeah. Let's just see where we were. So
Yeah.
You saw this. I
this
think.
is where we were here. Here it takes. So we traded everything pretty much.
Knight F6,
Knight
white goes
F6.
Queen takes C5, Knight takes C4, takes, Rook takes C7, I guess. And I think this is perhaps where Nihal. I think the position has progressed a little bit more than that. So let me just have it on my screen here as well. Yep,
No,
Queen
this
E7,
is
Rook
where we
E7.
are, yeah.
Queen E7 and Rook E7 is where we are, yeah?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Just now.
Sej, there's a problem if Nihal draws this game very quickly. That he's going to ask us to play pickleball in the next 30 minutes. So
Yes, that is true. That is true. And also.
And he always he destroys us.
Yeah.
Needless to say, obviously. Yesterday, I had the honor to also be invited, and I haven't played pickleball in like a decade. So
Oh, really? It was the first time in my life for me, and yeah,
it
will be the
was
last time as well. So.
it was deep water, let's say that. But he did give some good tips for me, so maybe I can get some use of those.
yeah, and Rook E7, Rook E1 played by Dmitry Andreikin. And now, Sahaj, can't I just chop the knight and chop your pawn on B2 and offer you a draw?
I believe so. I think that's a very good question. I'm just wondering if the pawn on G5 has any. No, I think this must be a draw. I think there is no way that you could continue the game anymore. I feel like all the players are making these quick draws because today is a very special day.
Oh yes.
We have Spain versus Argentina coming up as well, so it's gonna be a long day.
Oh yes, especially like here, it's the game is gonna start like really late, so maybe get some power nap in the middle after the games.
Yeah, the game started at midnight here in India, so nice power nap in between because remember the action doesn't stop. No rest days here at Chennai GM, and tomorrow on International Chess Day, says you really want to win and not lose on International Chess Day.
100%, and that would be that would just be sad. It's almost
it's
like
kind of
losing on your birthday.
I was going to say that.
It's almost like losing on your birthday. You never want to do that.
That's why you don't play on your birthday. That's what I stick to.
I always play on my birthday because I feel like you just have the birthday charm there as well.
Yeah.
I always try to play on my birthday. But yeah, let's come back to the chess though. I think Gukesh has made a move. He has played Rook to E8. Thanks to chat for letting us know. They are very quick. Rook E8 was played, I think, putting some pressure on the E file. And if white goes bishop takes D5, of course we have queen takes D5. That doesn't feel like a favorable trade for white. Because the queen has now come to the center of the board, it's way more active. The pawn on c4 looks dangerous. The pawn on d4 is hanging, like we mentioned earlier. I have another question. Instead of bishop d5, Rakesh, can I play the move rook fe1?
Ooh, there's a tactic though.
Oh.
The engine doesn't like it, so maybe we'll give you a chance to chat and our lovely audience here to figure out. Rook e1, what's the drawback of that move? Let's think. What can happen now that couldn't have happened on the last move? Black to play and win. Yes.
Knight takes d4. Yes,
Sahaj, in Chennai, we are. It's difficult to wait for an answer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Knight takes d4. You're absolutely correct. Bishop takes d4. I'm
Bishop
guessing
e1.
Take on e1. Rook takes e1, and then bishop takes bishop. And
You
then the
trade
queen-
everything.
Yeah, just
just take everything, and the d4 bishop will hang.
Yeah. Let's
At the end.
complete
Nice
the
line
line.
there, Sai.
Knight f3. You go rook e1 check as well, knight e1, and queen to d4. GG's.
Yeah, this one is over for sure.
So rook f even not possible for Nodirbek. What can he do? Let's go back to the live position.
By the way, he's under 20 minutes now. So the time pressure is more or less approaching. And back in those digital clocks, after those 20 minutes,
Yeah.
you could see the seconds as well. And that's when you started to panic, as a chess player. So I feel like when you go below the 20-minute mark, that's when you start to panic as a chess player.
I feel like that's stuck in all of us. I remember the first few times when I saw that, and still to this day, when I see the 20, I just remember that feeling of the seconds starting to run down.
It's like the countdown starts suddenly,
Yeah.
and bishop g4 played by Nodirbek, the best move in the position, hitting black. So we're also opening up some ideas of knight d7, bishop d7 sometimes, and more importantly, stopping black's queen from coming to d7 and hitting that pawn in the corner.
Absolutely. And by the way, chat has let us know that bishop e2 was one of the best moves in this position. And chat, in this sense, if you go bishop g4 like Nodirbek played in the game, after rook c7, still the best move is bishop e2.
Wow.
That makes no sense to me, and I do not expect that from Nodirbek, because why would you waste a move?
Correct.
But then the problem is that there is not like a very obvious move order for white to do here. So what white can do, I think, here is kind of just sit and wait a bit to see what black is exactly up to, because it's really difficult for white to move here. I mean, we saw that very simple moves like rook fe1 has so many tactical problems with it. So maybe just kind of like repositioning the pieces a little bit, maybe like bringing the rook more like on the king's side, just kind of seeing really what the opponent is up to.
Yep. I think after bishop g4, black has rook c7 though, but rook e1, like you mentioned, is not there. Can I play rook h3? Let's go for the kill. Let's go for the h7 pawn. What's happening there? I feel like every move I'm suggesting, the bar is just taking, a huge dip here.
It just shows how difficult white's position is, actually.
100%. Yes.
And here, I mean,
that's exactly the only thing it shows. Yes, you're right.
and the fact that you haven't played a classical game in a while.
Yes.
But pawn to g6 here, stopping the queen from coming, and now it's like there's no follow-up to the attack.
Exactly.
Also that rook on c7, I was wondering if there is some possibility of sacrificing on g6, a bunch of times. But that rook on c7 acts as a defender on the second rank. You could play rook g7, you could play rook h7, and you could shield yourself against those checks. And that's it.
Yeah, it's so difficult for white to make any progress here, because very simple moves can also lead to like such a worse position out of nowhere. And it's so difficult to even explain like why they are so bad. But once you start putting out the moves is when you realize like, okay, something is just wrong. Not anything like super obvious, but in the future you can see that just things just don't work out together here.
Yeah, for sure. I think every logical move like rook h3, rook e1, both of them have been tactical blunders for white. And let's not forget that Nodirbek he's under 20 minutes. So some pressure for the Uzbek number one. I think rook c7 is a very natural move by Gukesh. Why, you ask? Because, the c pawn is a passed pawn, and they say rooks belong behind passed pawns. And on top of that, it acts as a defender on the second rank if there are any types of attacks on the king side there. So rook c7, I think, very natural move, and it's going to be so difficult, I think, for Nodirbek to come up with a move now.
It's also like how what Nihal does, just put the ball in the opponent's court in a way.
Yes.
He does that a lot.
I feel like he does way too many things when it comes to pickleball, and I had a proper workout, so which was not necessarily pleasant, but it was more or less humbling.
For me, it was only humbling. All right, while we wait here, maybe let's just take a look at how maybe the
Firouzja, the tournament leader, is still playing on.
Oh, by the way, I see maybe f6 or no, f6 was already played, but I think a4 and a5 is kind of different, or something feels different about this position.
Yes, we can just very quickly see.
So he played a4 and a5 to put a clamp
Yes.
on the queen side, fixing those pawns. And now, I mean, Firouzja is pretty much just playing a waiting
Yeah.
game here.
I mean,
And look at that
this,
king b1. Wow. Rakesh, look at this move, king b1. That's, I feel like, Hans is making these very, very slow moves.
Prague-esque moves.
Yeah, very much like Prague, I would
Prague.
say.
But my question is to you guys: that can White actually make any progress here, or is it just him also waiting around to see if Firouzja is going to mess up anything?
I think maybe it's like the strategy of to just tire out the opponent and then hit at the right moment. But the problem is Hans doesn't have a really good pawn break. Neither does he have extra time, or like he can put Ali Reza under time pressure. So I feel this game is going to be drawn maybe an hour or so, but I don't see any real chances for either player here.
Chat has given us a very interesting stat that this is the 5th classical black that Gukesh has received against Nodirbek. So Gukesh has had 5. This is the 5th black game that he's playing against Nodirbek in a row. Interesting stat, actually.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Quite interesting, yeah.
I think Rohan in the chat on the Chess24 India chat is asking, Sahaj bhai, do you have any composition or study book recommendations?
I would say there's quite a lot of composers that I quite like. The one that I liked the most was Kasparian, and then
Yeah, the 2-5-4-5.
the Kasparian, just any study by Kasparian is very good, and I think Afek Yochanan is also another one who I really appreciate as a composer. Both of them I would highly recommend. And I believe Prague also made a study. It was Prague, right? Prague has composed a study before.
I think
if
so,
I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because I remember trying to solve it, and then I gave up on it. It was like the first study that I ever gave up on because it felt too difficult. But I think he has composed a study before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So maybe don't start with that if you want to have like a first experience.
By the way, a big development in the Gukesh game. He doesn't go for R move rook c7, but he plays bishop e6, offers the trade, a slight inaccuracy by the world champion.
And I feel like it just helps the opponent in the sense that White didn't really know what to do with this bishop in the future. And Gukesh's d5 bishop was so good here, blocking the d4 pawn, kind of looking over at the king. And now we feel like voluntarily trading the bishop is not ideal in my opinion.
Yeah, I like this. Bishop e6.
And just rook
takes.
e6.
But there is a tactical reason for why bishop e6 does not work, and that is very, very difficult to play. But I think a move that has Nodirbek written all over it, it is the move d5. Just sack it, sack the material for initiative. You open up the bishop and look at that. He takes the bishop on e6. We are about to see this in action.
All right, let's see.
Please tell me there is no knight f7 here. There is no knight f7, right? There. It looks interesting because king f7, there is rook e6, king e6, and maybe some checks.
Maybe we can take a look at it.
Let's have a
actually.
look while
Yeah.
Nodirbek thinks.
Oh, it's actually not as bad as I thought.
Rook e6.
King e6. I mean, there's just
King
two
is
little
on a
pieces.
stroll. It's rook e1.
Now the king can go
King
back.
can go back, yeah. And the bishop is still kind of stuck here.
Yeah, and the point is,
Yeah.
if queen f5 check, you go back again in your cave, and I think black is completely safe here.
Yeah.
But let's come back to the d5 move, which Nodirbek has to find. You give up a pawn again, initiative over material. Queen d5 is the obvious move, and I think White gets a very nice tempo with rook d1 capture.
Yeah, it's not looking as good as it used to look like. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it still doesn't scream like lost position or anything, of course. But we really need to be careful now, I think. I mean, White managed to activate all of the pieces with only having to exchange not the best bishop in the game. And now it feels like black's pieces are not coordinating as well. I mean, this rook feels a little bit out of play now, and queen is also a bit misplaced. So it's not lost, but it just feels like, again, the position shifted a bit towards a very like different feeling, very different like.
For sure. I think it looks like the momentum is with Nodirbek at this moment, because he has the open bishop, he has the open rooks. I mean, everything. That pawn on d4 was kind of working against white, because just because of that one pawn, so many pieces were restricted.
And he plays it.
Wow. Yep. This has,
D5.
like we said, this has Nodirbek written all over it.
And he also made it quite quickly. I'm sure that he actually saw it.
Well, I mean, he has 16 minutes on the clock, so
Oh, yeah.
he has to
Okay,
play
true. He has to play
relatively
fast.
quite fast. And now the question is, should Gukesh take? And I mean, it's a rhetorical question. Yeah, you have to take, I think, in this position.
What
Did you
else
see
can
that
you do?
typical Nodirbek stare that he gave to Gukesh after the pawn to d5? He knows that he is back in the game.
It does feel like it.
Because I think let's do a bit of a deep dive in this position, because black goes queen takes d5, which I think is forced. Rook d1, attacking your queen. You play queen c5. And now I think this is the moment where Gukesh has to stop. I mean, Nodirbek has to stop and maybe consider, because now I think there are no direct moves possible in this position. Yes, there's queen f5, knight f7, but I feel like I can be flexible and I can try to think in this position. What move strikes as the most obvious to you, Rakesh, as for white here?
I mean, I would love to get my queen active somehow, but the bishop, the queen has to defend the bishop, so that's a problem. But
So the pieces are a little bit overloaded because we have to like take care of all of these pieces.
not too sure though. Can I just throw
Queen
in?
f5, is that good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad. And then what happens? Rook.
I mean, we have to, protect this.
Rook
guy.
f6, is that possible or is that bad? I feel like I'm just walking on,
Like a
eggshells here.
landmine.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Probably. I mean, I just don't like it because of
Oh,
this.
oh. Rook f6, queen f6. No?
Oh yes. And
Queen
then-
f6 is winning.
Let's show that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Gf6. Oh, finally something like this works in a game. Rook check. And I think king h8 is just knight takes f7 mate. And if you go king f8, then knight d7 check would just take away the queen on c5.
Wow, beautiful. Very nice spot.
No, I think each time I'm just trying to sacrifice something and hoping that it works. And this is the time that it works. So let's go.
I think
Yeah,
I love
so-
queen f5 actually,
Yeah, queen f5 now seems actually very
Feels human.
interesting.
I think queen f5 is a very human move, I think, to attack the f7 pawn. And of course, rook f6 is a very nice trap, for Nodirbek. Last time also, Gukesh blundered on the f6 rook.
Oh no,
please
no,
don't
don't.
do
So, I mean, it did happen last time as well. So,
Let's continue. Let's say he plays the best move, rook e7, defending the pawn along the rank. Now, Sahaj.
this, I'm not so sure, but it does not look pleasant for Gukesh at
Yeah.
all. Like rook d5 looks so unpleasant as it is. Because you cannot take on d5, this queen c8, and you have to put your queen back to c7. And I mean, there has to be, many
did
tactical
something
possibilities
happen?
here.
Not yet.
No, it was like Gukesh was trying to adjust his chair and their heads almost collided, I thought, on camera. Because look how Nodirbek was sitting. He's almost at the halfway stage of the board. Sahaj, looking at Gukesh, do you think he missed that d5 move?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
he
think-
doesn't look happy for
Yeah.
sure.
I think if you see d5, you will never allow d5 because you would rather have the initiative, you would rather have the weak pawn. As we said, threat is better than execution. You need a threat, right? Black doesn't have a threat anymore. At least you had the weakness on d4, which you could put
Right.
pressure on. But now there is nothing like that. And you have to switch back to defense, which is always a very difficult thing.
Momentum is everything here, and he had to defend if he had gone for the pawn material, and here he's defending with no material, so he might as well had captured the pawn on a3.
Yes, exactly. Also, it would have created another imbalance in the game, which I think would have helped Gukesh. But of course, in retrospect, all of these things make sense. But during
Yeah.
the game, it's another story.
Yeah, but I feel like it would have made a lot of sense simply because of the time situation. Like creating these imbalances while the opponent is lower on time, I feel like would be a good choice because you're creating more and more chaos, and the opponent has to spend a lot more time into figuring out what this chaos is really about. And I didn't really feel like it was also like a tricky situation. So you could have just like took the pawn on a3, and it wasn't anything like really tactical.
Agreed.
Agreed. But d5, what a move.
What a move.
Crazy.
And this is Nodirbek's style, and this is what Guki
Each
was trying to avoid.
Against Arjun, he was basically lost, and then he, had those 3 winning chances in the game. It was just 2 days ago. Against Gukesh, he was worse at the very. I think he was not lost. I think he was worse. But now also again he's starting to take over. I feel like this is a pattern for Nodirbek each time he plays with the white pieces, Rakesh.
I mean, it's just like it's happening by luck. I think. I don't think Nodirbek is planning on getting these.
It
minus
can't be.
positions.
But what if it was on purpose? It
I mean,
could be possible,
it's
right?
kind of like Argentina allowing the opponent to score first and then making a comeback throughout the 2026 FIFA World
It does
Cup.
feel like it's a pattern now,
And speaking of the World Cup final, we have touched upon it. But one good thing is, however the game might go, both of these guys will be happy if Spain wins because they both have predicted Spain as the winner in our Instagram reel. So,
Good choice by them for sure.
and both of us. So, Sahaj, you're alone on Team Argentina.
I'm the odd one out here. No, it's fine. It's fine. After tonight, I will be the only one smiling, and I'm okay with that.
Time will tell, but time is also telling. Gukesh now having just a 10-minute difference there.
Wow. And also, let's not forget the momentum shift. Look at Gukesh's body language. Like he seemed a lot more relaxed in the previous move, and now I think he realizes that there is so much attack, so many different ways that Nodirbek can put pressure on him, and I think he's the chances of Gukesh making a mistake are very high now.
Yeah, but I think this is the moment when I think he has to stop for a second, collect himself, cool down a bit, and focus on understanding the position and not making moves just by being stressed and feeling like, oh no, I missed something. So I think it's very important that he spends this extra 10 minutes at least on cooling himself down, collecting his thoughts, and then making the move like that.
You can collect your thoughts, you can calm yourself down, but the position is still messy, The position is still quite. I didn't mean to make a pun there, Rakesh. I saw the smile, but I feel still the position is extremely complicated in that sense, and I think regardless of whether you're calm or not, you have to be on the top of your game, because if you make one mistake, you're not just worse; it could just be lost.
Yeah, but I think we have all been there when you start just spiraling a bit, and it's really difficult to stop yourself from doing that. So that's what I mean by you need to stop for a second and just say, okay, it's not lost until its end. It's not lost at all, of course, but just stop yourself from starting to spiral down something that's not really there. These phantom moves are probably there for him.
Probably, yeah.
So,
and there are lots of courses on Chessable as well, how to counter these moves and how to calm yourself. But that's an offer you all can check out on Chessable. We are running a sale on our courses. So do check that out. And, before we head into our second break, I want quick predictions on the remaining games. Let's go, Kincho. Nodirbek versus Gukesh. One word answer. I'll put you on the spot.
oh no, like we are starting with this game. I was kind of hoping we would go to a more simple one. But okay, for now, considering how lot of the games shifted, I would say this might end up in a draw then.
Okay, draw. Sahaj?
So Nodirbek, Gukesh, you are predicting a draw. I think anything but a draw. I think it's going to be a result. Now, which way it goes, I think only time will tell. But I'm predicting a result.
Same. I'm with you on that edge.
And Andrekin versus Nihal, I think we can all agree on that note that it
100%.
looks like a draw. And then Hans versus Firuza, I'm just gonna echo Vishy sir's thoughts, and I'm just gonna say yawn one more time. And but I feel Hans is making slight progress in the position. He's trying to play maybe c5 and perhaps play d5 at the right moment. Maybe queen b6 check to try and go into the end game and then push d5. I think that would look very nice. And that bishop on g3, even though it's active, it also feels a little superfluous to me. Like it's not really contributing much to the game. Not on the queen side at least. So maybe Hans has some outside chances. And yeah, what is your take on this, Kincho, on the game of Hans versus Firuza?
Yeah, I feel like Hans doesn't have enough time to go through with a big attack, and Alireza has a lot of time to stop these attacks. So I would still guess a draw here. Actually,
So
very neutral today.
the three boards, and Nodirbek versus Abdusataro might be the only decisive game. That's the pattern in Chennai chess that we've seen so far in the last 3 days. That might continue, but to bring you the final moments of that, Sahil Bhai and Sahaj Bhai will be taking you through that. And with that, we'll take a very, very short break. See you on the other side.
And we are back after that short or maybe not so short break. And of course, it's 3 games on still. With me, I have 2 amazing co-hosts, Sahaj and Kinsho. Welcome back. I mean, an exciting day, but I don't know how many results we'll get, Sahaj.
Well, I think the game that we are looking at right now has the most probability of a result because looks like Nodirbek has a lot of initiative. He has played Queen F5 and Gukesh, to his credit, has not played Rook F6. Yeah, Rook F6, Queen F6 was that tactic that we had addressed, right before we went on that break. But Rook E7, nice defense by the world champion, but 13 minutes for both of these players. Nodirbek putting some pressure on the position looks difficult.
Yeah, and Kinsho, I think I love the fact that there is no additional time incoming. So the chances of a results are very high. Imagine if they had 30 more minutes in around 15 minutes from now, then they could just sit down for a deep thing, figure out the details and give us a boring draw. But now we get a result.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's much more interesting for us viewers like this. Because anything can really happen in those last few seconds of every game. Who knows, when you have to make some quick moves, what can go through the players' head when they need to make a very quick decision. And just looking at actually the body language of the players, Gukesh looks a little bit more uncomfortable than how he looked earlier, because Nodirbek no change on his posture, but I do feel like this last few moves changed the attitude of the world champion.
Agreed. And also, by the way, look at how sharply Nodirbek's chair is shaking. And Sahaj, I want to get your thoughts about this dynamic here, because, for example, the engine is screaming, take the bishop, but after A takes B4, I will have 2 connected pass pawns. The engine is just chilling, yeah? I don't care about those pawns, but I, as a human, am worried. So what are the moves that come to your mind here?
There are some very, very exciting moves, I think, incoming in this position. Rook H3 is, I think, something direct, something that hits on the king side. Rook H3 is one of them.
Oh.
Queen G5, Rook G3, maybe not Rook G3. But something that does not allow Gukesh to settle down in this position. That's what I think is something that Nodirbek chooses. What that's going to be, I think we're going to find out very, very soon. I see some very interesting options in this position.
Whatever it is, I think we are in for a surprise, and I am going to predict a result here. Kinsho, draw or result in this game?
I just before we went on a break, I said a draw. But I don't know, it's just so difficult to tell in this position. I'm really rooting for, of course, a result here. But just based on how it's been going, I'm still going to stick with my draw prediction. What about you guys?
I think anything but a draw in this position. I feel it's going to be very, very difficult. It looks really exciting. There is a move in this position which I'm considering.
Mm-hmm.
Can I play knight to c6 now?
Knight to c6? Wait, what? I thought when your opponent gives you a free knight, you grab it, yeah?
But why can't I play knight c6 now? Queen f5 and then there is knight e7 and
the bishop defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bishop is defending it, so maybe you take first and then you go for knight c6 now. Wait. How is this equal?
Sahaj, you got your queen sacrificed finally in the dream scenario. Pure queen sack, yeah?
Yeah. Wow. And I don't know. I don't understand how this position is equal. How? Because it looks like black is losing some material, regardless, because you have to move your rook from e7.
Yeah.
Let's say you will play rook, because the queen is defended by the knight. So you will play rook c7, I guess. Or
first of all, if queen f5, I think knight e7 checks. So black's end, that's a royal fork, yeah? Everything is hanging. And the move you're saying is moving the rook, right?
Exactly.
So where do you move the rook?
Rook e8 or rook ec7, I think, are possible. Both of them, I think, don't really have that much of a difference. But now I can take the queen on c5 and play knight e7 check. Now you do have those pawns on b4 and wow, that's actually bad for.
Wow. That's minus 5.
Look at the pawns running. It's very difficult to stop those pawns, especially with rooks.
No, I was thinking c3. I have rook c7. That was my thought process in this position. And wow, this is
it's working
now.
This is winning for white. So mistakes galore. So you have to play g6. You
of
have to
course, of
solve
course.
the back rank problem first.
You're down in exchange, and you have to make direct moves. And what do you play? G6 in this position. Of course, makes a lot of sense.
Wow. Kinsho, I mean, this is so tough. Yeah, first of all, you're giving black 2 connected pass pawns. That for me is not even a candidate move to consider. Any other move that comes to mind?
Rook d5 is another one. I think this is something that I discussed, I think, right before we went on a break, and Queen c7, but I couldn't figure out a way for white to continue after Queen c7 because it looks like on the second rank you're completely safe. The f7 pawn is defended, the queen is no longer exposed. So there's no tempos that you can gain with the queen being on c7. I'm not really sure how you would continue this position, but rook d5 does look like a very nice move to play in this position though.
Okay, I love the full screen angle, Kinsho. I think you mentioned how Gukesh looks a bit more nervous. I have to agree with you there. Nodirbek looks much more, he has more energy right now somehow. Look at him, bending over the board. He's figuring out the tactics here. I feel like we could have something crazy happen in the next couple of moves.
Absolutely. I mean, the time is running lower and lower each second. And now, Nodirbek is already under 10 minutes, well above 10 minutes. So soon, I'm 100% sure that we're going to see a move and see what Abdul Sattarov comes up with in this tough position. But it's 100% true that it's not so easy for white to play here. I mean, we have a few ideas like rook d5, but it's just so difficult to after that plan. Like, okay, queen c7. What's next?
What next is a very good question, Kinsho. And also, I think somehow for me, both the sides, taking too much risk with the back rank somehow. Like white has not really given his king a square. Black has not given his king a square. So I get the feeling that unless they give the kings, some breathing space, tactics will always be, possible in this position.
Exactly, because you've got back rank problems. Your king is so unsafe. You need at least a couple of moves to make sure all of the attack is neutralized. But it is Nodirbek's move. So all he has to do is make a move that does not, allow his opponent to kind of, settle down. So we were looking at this crazy idea of bishop b4 and knight c6, which I'm still not sure if it's working or not. Rook e8 we were talking about, and now of course takes. Oh, we have to take on e8.
Not necessarily. I mean, I thought maybe that's possible because otherwise this is always some tension, right? What else comes to mind here? Queen c5, yeah?
Queen takes c5, knight b4, there is just knight takes a4, and I feel that's already, black can just take on a4 and you're just playing an endgame with one pawn less.
Yeah.
So Gukesh will press this, forever.
I feel like, with these pawns as white, maybe you want to hold on to the queen somehow. Let's say rook e8 here. Like queen c5 maybe plays into black's hand. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, queen c5 I don't like. I mean, there has to be something else in this position to justify a move like knight c6. Because if I have to just simplify into an endgame, then there is no point in playing d5. There is no point, to sacrifice and play for the initiative.
Also, the less pieces you keep on the board, the more those b and c pawns get like stronger. They're getting so dangerous. Just imagine, you trade off absolutely everything.
Can I play queen d7? Sorry to cut you off, Kicho, but I just couldn't wait, in this position because I think queen d7 is the only move.
And
right?
That's a tricky one because it feels like black has a bunch of captures and you cannot take anything. If you take the rook, then queen c8 is winning. If you pick up the knight, then rook e8 is winning. If you pick up the knight, then again queen. So it's like black can do nothing. It looks like he has 100 options, but he has no real choices over the board.
So what can actually black do here? I mean, I was looking at king f8, but
king f8. Please say king f8. Chat. Question for the audience. King f8. White to play and win. This is a move that I have been wanting to play, I think, for this entirety of this tournament. Let's go. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Nicely
Very
done
well
there.
spotted.
And I think you will not believe the best move actually here. And I think you're very, very close, Kinsho. The best move is the ridiculous queen to f8 back.
God.
What do you feel about that move, Sahaj?
I mean,
easy, very easy.
I mean, I also think after queen f8, I have knight e7, knight c8 just as a consolation, in case I can't find anything better for myself.
Yeah.
But besides that, I was thinking rook e7. Wait, I think he's going for it. He has just taken on b4.
He's taken. And by the way, he has 4 minutes now the clock, so Nodirbek better be accurate. He cannot afford to make any mistakes now.
And that's the question. How is he gonna do under time pressure? Oh, there we go.
Wow.
There we go.
Wow, nice find, nice find. And now Gukesh has a very tough task to find that Queen F8 move, which is essentially putting all of your major pieces in the back rank in the middle game. That's never ideal.
That looks so much, against human nature. We always want to move the pieces out very quickly early on. But putting them backwards, it's never, a good omen.
I would love to go full screen if possible, because I feel like 5 minutes for Nodirbek and 13 minutes for Gukesh. Gukesh probably has one long think remaining for him in this match. Sahaj, after that, he's only playing on the increment. Does he use that think now?
Absolutely. I think if you can neutralize the attack somehow, the rest of the moves are going to be natural. You can even make hand moves. It should be fine. But right now, there are so many mistakes possible in the position. For example, we saw no capture is possible here. Rook E8 and Rook C7 were the two possible moves. And to find Queen F8, that's impossible. Ridiculously difficult.
And Kinsho, we know Gukesh, is a fabulous player, but maybe his current form, maybe his confidence is not at his peak, and he has a, not a great record against Nodirbek. That always you remember in your mind, okay, I've lost to him multiple times, I've blundered before, and that comes back to you sometimes.
Yeah, especially because just as we mentioned in the previous earlier today, that Nodirbek and Gukesh played 7 times this year. Am I right, Saj? 7 times this year, right?
Yes, they have played 7 games this year, and the score
Gukesh only scored half a point, right?
Yes, it's 6.5 to half in 2026.
So it's an extra pressure on Gukesh.
Across all formats.
All formats, okay.
Yes.
I thought 7 classes. Oh, that was insane.
Across all, there is one classical game, I think, or 2 classical games in between, but the rest were like rapid and blitz.
But
so
I think
Nodirbek has had a good year against Gukesh.
Nevertheless, it's an insane amount of pressure, I think, to play well. And also Rakesh pointed out that Gukesh has his lucky sweater in the back. So it's an important game for him. It's an extremely important game for him.
I have a question. We've been looking at Rook E8 this whole time, but what if I was to go Rook C7? Now, we had considered this move earlier, but we kind of brushed it off. But I see the chat is recommending the move Rook C7, so I think we should definitely pay attention to this. This makes a lot of sense. Although, practically, I don't like this so much because your back rank is, let's say, less protected in comparison to Rook E8. So there will be more attacking ideas here for white. And I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't look appealing to me as much as Rook E8.
But is it forcing the queen trade? Because if it's forcing the queen trade, then black simplifies the game instantly, right? Because I'm attacking your knight with the rook and the queen. So for example, queen to e4 threatening back rank mate, I can simply pick this knight up. There's nothing. So is this forcing this queen trade here, Sahaj? That's the question.
I think not, because I have Rook E1.
I
have a knight hanging and I have a
queen
hanging.
C6?
Oh, Queen C6 I missed. I thought Queen F5 and Rook C6, but I missed the third capture.
Exactly.
You're right.
So if this forces the queen trade and Gukesh is feeling pressure, then maybe this is the smarter move. Then white is forced to take, you take, white takes this one, and then maybe this position is much simpler to hold for Gukesh.
But knight A4, this is knight D5, right?
Ooh, knight d5. The game is...
By the way, we have, I think, a result on the game of Dmitry Andreikin and Nihal Sarin, and I believe it ended in a very healthy draw between these two players.
And again, a great defense by Nihal Sarin. I think he's shown some incredible chess in this event. Of course, he's not had his first win, but overall, confident player, and maybe pickleball tonight as well, yeah?
Maybe. I think if something is working, you just keep repeating the pattern, and I think that's what Nihal is going to do.
I think the thought is already forming in his head, so I'm sure that he's gonna be there.
Yeah, so before we come to Gukesh, let's just a brief look at the Hans Niemann against Firouzja game as well. Sahaj, Kinsho, your thoughts on whether you see a result incoming in this game. As of now, the opposite color bishops. I think as Bishisha put it correctly, pass.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it looked like Hans was putting pressure in this position from the white side, but now I think the momentum is shifting. I'm not really sure if Hans is the one pressing here anymore.
Honestly, it's... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but honestly, I feel like the position kind of shifted. Like, we all agreed at some point that this game didn't really look like anything was going to happen here. But I feel like suddenly there are some ideas in here. Like the position is not completely hopeless for either of the players. I do see some, okay, maybe they're like really simple, but I do see some ideas for each side. I mean, that e6 pawn can be a little bit weak, alongside with h4, depending where the bishop is moving. So, and the same goes for actually black. a5 pawn is hanging, but at the same time, e4 can become a weakness. So suddenly I feel like both of the players are trying to, get the result here instead of agreeing on a draw.
100%. And look at Alireza. I think he just by the way how calm he is and how he's walking around, I feel like, I feel the worst is over for Alireza there. I mean, of course, he is, Hans is a pawn up for now, temporarily speaking, but that pawn on a5, like Incho pointed out, is hanging. The pawn on e4 is a potential target as well with rook e5 and rook e4. And on top of that, let's not forget that bishop on g3. We were calling it a superfluous piece earlier, but that bishop has a very important purpose, which is to attack the g2 pawn as well. Who is defending that?
That's a good point. And I think both players, as you mentioned, Kinsho, have some chances. For example, if I pick up the e6 pawn somehow, right? Rook takes a5, I pick up the e6 pawn, then the bishop drops back to d5, then b7 could be soft. But at the end, both the players probably too strong to mess up in this endgame. Yeah? And we are seeing a check. In fact, we could just see a repetition right now. King a7, rook g7, king b8, rook g8. So another draw potentially incoming between these two players. And then it's all up to Gukesh and Nodirbek.
Yep, absolutely. I think we might see a repetition very, very soon. And by the way, Nodirbek has played the move knight c6 and Gukesh is still thinking.
Oh.
He has 7 minutes and Nodirbek has 5 minutes. We are about to enter time pressure territory for both of these players with only moves incoming for both of them.
The difference is if Gukesh beats Nodirbek, that's going to give him 2x the confidence than beating any other player in this field. So this game really means a lot for both the players actually. And Nodirbek, of course, wants to win in Gukesh's hometown, but let's see what happens. Meanwhile, 6 minutes versus 5 minutes. I love that we have no extra time incoming. A lot of tactics on the board as well. But we could see a mistake from either player. Kinsho, I think 6.5 minutes. We can see Gukesh feel pressure, yeah?
You see, and at this point, anything can happen. That's
rook e8 played.
Rook
That
just happened.
Wait, that means we're not going into the endgame anymore. We're not
No
going to go
endgame.
queen takes
No,
c5.
but we are
We'll
going
see.
in your line actually.
Wow, queen d7 and queen f8 is incoming. Oh well, queen
my
f8
God.
we don't know, queen d7 we don't know.
It's hopefully incoming.
Yeah, hopefully for both of them, but also hopefully not queen d7 and king f8 because Sai here showed us why that is a blunder. So difficult territory for the world champion, and I think momentum I still think is with Nodirbek here.
Oof. And he plays, look at that blue arrow, queen f8 is the only move for the world champion
Oh
here.
my God.
Otherwise, things could go definitely south. What will he do? 6 minutes. And look at how quickly Nodirbek played that move, yeah?
Wow.
And it all comes down to this next move. I mean, I think if queen f8 happens, then, again, still, anything can happen. Both of them are in the race. But I don't even see anything, like, okay, we see the blue arrow, but what could even be another idea here? Okay, besides king f8, because we saw how that
queen
doesn't
f8
work
is a
out.
blue arrow. It means that
But
there is just one move that holds the position. Anything else that Gukesh plays, he is lost. So queen f8 is mandatory for Gukesh to play.
yeah, but I'm just trying to understand, like, is there any, any other idea that's okay?
Gukesh
Obviously
is like,
not then.
guys, don't
Obviously
worry.
not then.
I got this.
That
You guys
answered
can
my
chill.
question.
Yeah.
You guys have your
That
coffee, it's
answered my
okay. Queen f8, easy move, easy peasy. And he's still 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes ahead of, Nodirbek. So that's a good sign. And what is White's plan now? Because if White does nothing, I have a clear pass pawn ready. The knight is already controlling the c1 square. So what is White's simplification here, Sahaj?
So I have two moves, but I think I'm leaning more towards one, which is rook de1 and rook takes e3, I'm guessing, and rook takes e3, and now I'm planning queen takes rook and knight check on e7.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
So maybe I'm forcing you to go rook a8. Oh, c3 is possible.
c3, queen takes c8 is actually still equal. Wow.
How?
What?
By the way, he has taken.
Oh, wait.
He has taken the rook on e8. He's going for the pawn on
Okay.
e4. Okay, so
Alright.
that's simpler.
Yeah, I think that's safer as well from Nodirbek. Yeah, he doesn't want to risk these pawns becoming too dangerous. And now what does Gukesh do? He still has this pawn, but
Can
It's
he
an outside
somehow?
pawn.
if we take this, then it's
Yeah.
this one. So what can black do?
I'm thinking. Is Rook C8 out of the play? I mean, I'm just trying to somehow protect that pawn and
Mm.
Knight
help it
C6
push
back,
forward.
maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, that.
And repetition, yeah? Okay.
But I mean, there was a pawn on B4 last time, so.
Yeah, that's
True,
true.
true, true.
But I think in terms of this endgame, we should always think about the endgame in its simplest form. I think if we have a king pawn ending here, white is winning. If we have a rook pawn ending, I think it is a very, very difficult rook pawn ending for black because white's rook would be on A1, black's rook would be on A8, and it's an outside pawn, right? So it would be difficult. If it's a knight pawn ending, I think maybe it's equal, but still more preference to white. So I think one thing that Gukesh should do is don't exchange pieces. Because the more you are going towards the end game, the more this outside pawn is going to show its strength, essentially.
Agreed. And maybe is knight c5 an option, or am I just blundering something instantly? Because I'm attacking the queen, attacking the pawn on a4.
I'm not sure, but judging by how this game is going, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a mistake. To be honest.
Oh, thank God! Thank
Not
God!
a mistake. Okay.
God is kind
Nice
to me
move
today.
there, Sahil.
God is kind to me today, and I thought I'm blundering at queen or something there. But now queen b5, of course, I want to defend the pawn, but I'm not sure where I go from here though. Like I don't see any moves now.
Oh, he has played something. Gukesh has gone for a move.
He goes c3. He pushes the passed pawn, and Nodirbek
Okay,
blocks it
stops
instantly.
it.
Knights are the best blockaders because they can jump, and even if they're blockading something, their activity is not restricted. This is why the knights are the best blockaders, the best defenders in the game of chess. Knight c2, nice move. Also, it covers the back rank. In case white wants to play rook d3 and attack the pawn on c3.
Very
Could be a
safe
good move.
move.
I love that move, by the way. Okay, now I can breathe normally because until then the back rank was an issue, and now only for white. Hey, white also plays h3 or something like that.
Yeah, but then I think we can
Maybe h4.
start slowly moving out also.
I think h4 looks kind of logical here for me, but also I want to take your pawn on c3 somehow. It's way too overextended for my taste.
Maybe now rook e2. Can I try to kick your knight away?
I think we have
Oh, we
another
have a
result
result.
between Hans and Firouzja that ended in a draw as well. So 3 draws, and Alireza is once again the sole leader of this event with that draw. He's only made 2 draws and 2 wins. I think a healthy tournament for Alireza so far.
Yeah, I'm surprised that opposite color bishop ended in a draw. Yeah, that's crazy. But okay, I mean, we have to stay true to what's happened in the events so far. Every day we've had one win. So it's up to Gukesh or Nodirbek to give us that now.
Yeah, the statistics don't lie, and I feel like with the low time right now, anything
There
can
it is.
really happen.
H4 said your move.
Wow.
Nodirbek is listening. Now, of course, H5 could also be a plan here. And more importantly, the king is not going to get checkmated on the back rank. And maybe it's time for Gukesh's major pieces to enter the game now. Kinsher, rook e2 is something I really like. At least ask him the question, to the knight, okay, where are you going to go next?
I completely agree with you. I think rook e2 should come very, very soon.
Isn't that overextending the position a bit? Because I think queen b5 is possible, rook c2 and queen b3. I mean, I feel like you really have to be precise here as black. How are you not losing that pawn on c3 is my question.
Yeah,
d2
rook
maybe?
d2.
Now rook c1? Isn't that
C1,
pawn
but
gone, or
some-
why is the bar going down? The f2 pawn is hanging. Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you though. I think, as you mentioned, more the exchanges, likelihood that the A pawn becomes stronger. I think you are correct in principle, but I think maybe the advantage is not that high. And with 5 minutes on the clock, maybe Gukesh does hold that end game, at the end. But okay, let's see what happens now. H4 on the board.
It's 5 minutes for both. Anything can happen. I think there is a result still possible. Gukesh's pawn is way more, advanced. However, Nodirbek has an outside pass pawn. So in comparison, I think it means if Gukesh has to equalize, it has to be now. Otherwise, in the long term, I think Nodirbek's A pawn is going to be the stronger one.
He definitely needs to grab the initiation here, because if he doesn't act quick enough, just as you mentioned, Sahaj, the pawn is gonna come running on the A file, and that knight on c2 will become really comfortable.
Plays h5.
Ooh.
So he stops the pawn. Maybe he was a bit worried about the h pawn moving forward here, Sahaj.
I have a tactic in my mind. I think that's a good move by Gukesh, but it also gives Nodirbek, I think, an extra move. So my question is, do I have a5 here? Because knight a5, I have queen d5, and that knight is kind of trapped, no?
Maybe rook a8.
Then rook a1, I thought, and I'm not sure how you're saving the knight.
Oh,
What
that's
am I
a
missing?
good point.
Knight c6. The rook on a1 is defended. Wait, he plays a5. Wow. It's on the board.
Oh wow.
Sahaj, are you Nodirbek? No, but I think you're right there. If black does take this, now queen d5, the knight has no squares. Rook a8, rook a1, there's a very nice move here, Sahaj. A counter-attacking move for Gukesh that just equalizes on the spot. If you were to guess.
Now I'm still thinking. Is it queen d8 or no? Wait, queen
No,
d8. Because I was thinking takes rook a5, rook d1, rook d2, and maybe I can try to save that. But
It's
Is there something like I don't know, queen
b8.
h6?
Yes.
Oh, never
queen
mind.
b8. Yeah.
queen b8.
Similar idea.
And if you pick this up, then of course there's queen b1 check. And now my pawn on c3 is so advanced and black ends up winning.
Yeah. Because
So then my question is, why didn't queen h6 work? Because it was the same idea, but I might be wrong. Because we can attack on c1.
Oh, that's a good
That
question.
was my...
but queen
we're
h check.
okay.
8 is head. It happens. I think.
This
It
is-
happens.
okay,
That's-
okay.
This is what happens when you are the teammate of Nihal Singh in pickleball. You lose the sense of danger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have anything to do, so...
But I just want to keep going on position because I'm still not convinced that's equal. I know the bar says it's equal. So let's go knight a5. You go queen d5. Rook a8. Rook a1. Queen b8. Now, my argument is that you don't have a threat here. Right? You. If I
Yep.
said pass here, black cannot do anything. So let's play g3.
Fair
So
enough.
now I throw the ball to you. What do you play? Because next move king g2 and then I will take on a5 and then you don't have a check on b1.
Okay, that's a fair point. But maybe knight c6 now. And if you take the rook, I take with the queen. And if you pick up the knight, then check and I give the check again. And I equalize the game. So
Yes.
equalize, I think I'm even maybe better in some cases. So maybe Gukesh is equalized. But the question is, he has to grab this pawn now, right? If it goes to a6, then it gets a bit tricky.
It's
And-
tough to take that pawn, no? Yeah,
And
sorry,
just
Kincho.
very quickly, look at the time, guys, because now Gukesh is lower on the time by 2 minutes. We saw that earlier. He was very comfortably higher on the clock. But now, not so much. And he needs to make a decision and he needs to make it fast.
Okay, the crucial moment. If Gukesh, figures out this moment correctly, he takes that pawn, figures out queen b8. He will completely equalize the game and then would have nothing to worry. But if he makes a mistake here with 2 minutes on the clock, this could be dangerous. Look at Nodirbek. He's leaning on his half of the board. He understands there's some things working for him. He's kind of kept Gukesh's pawn firmly blockaded while the A pawn runs away. And as you pointed out, that pawn is much more dangerous in any endgame so far. So Gukesh, less than 2 minutes now.
Oh my God. This is
Wow.
actually now becoming a
Now-
little bit nerve-wracking.
A question for you guys. Looking at the time, Gukesh has less than 2 minutes on the clock. Taking on a5 requires you to see queen b8. That's a very difficult
Tough.
move to
Yeah.
see over the board. Do you think Gukesh takes that pawn on a5? Yes or no?
I don't think so. I think it is.
Kincho?
No, for sure not.
I think rook e2 maybe, yeah? What do you think?
I think
would-
rook e2 or something more aggressive,
Yeah.
I think. Because
Yeah.
knight a5, you are defending the whole time and it's not easy to defend with less time on the clock, I
Yep.
feel. So,
Absolutely.
or maybe rook a8 just straight away and then you take on a5. Maybe it feels like everything is defended there.
And you know why I like rook e2 is because we saw that queen c5 plan. And that's the kind of Gukesh move, right? Because you're counter-attacking, not just defending. So rook e2 followed by queen c5. You force the white pieces to go passive. Maybe that's something he's considering. But whatever he's thinking, he should play now. He has a minute on the clock. 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Tough. Look at the pressure. He has less than a minute now.
Oh my God. No, I mean, okay, we will see a
He's about to
move.
play.
He's getting ready.
Important move,
What is
this
it
one.
gonna be? What is it gonna be?
There's no extra time chat. He takes the
Oh,
pawn.
nice.
Wow.
That was a good move by the world champion. Let's go. I think that if he has seen queen b8, this is over. But
And it
wait,
was also
No,
time
but
very well
if he has
spent.
not seen, even then it's over.
No, I have another question. Do I have to play Queen D5? What about Queen B5?
Rook A8, the same, no?
Then Rook A1 and but you have Queen D8 now.
Yes.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Wow.
This is so beautiful because if the queen was on D5, you put it on B8. If it's on B5, you put it on D8. Same idea.
Okay, but now the queen also defends, so maybe I think the other one was slightly more threatening.
Yeah, sure.
But I think, okay, now Nodirbek, yeah, he has to come up with the best attacking idea here, because if he doesn't do anything, he's got with queen D5, I think. Played.
Wow.
That blue arrow king show again, and instantly
Okay,
played the
he makes
Gukesh.
it. He makes it.
Wow.
Okay, question. Are we going to see Queen B8?
I don't think he would have played a knight takes A5 if he didn't see.
Okay, Rook A1 on
Moment
the
of
board.
truth.
Exactly. What will the world champion do? He has a minute and 25 seconds on the clock. Queen B4 here, B8, sorry, seems to, and he plays it. Wow.
Wow, beautiful.
Beautiful. That was amazing. Yeah, I think this settles it. I think now it's a draw. Queen B8 was a beautiful find by the world champion. Have to
Indeed,
agree.
indeed. And now, of course, I think this might be much simpler for the world champion to defend, because once you grab that pawn Sahaj, now in fact, black is the one who's pawn up. So if Nodirbek overextends, there could be an opportunity for Gukesh, or no?
It could be. Could very well be. But I'm thinking, why G3? Can I play G4? Maybe I'm kind of playing into you overextended. Now
don't know.
H5.
This is.
Oh, wow.
Like all of your pieces are on the queen's side, right? And
That's-
I remember, Sahil, you've made those rectangles on the board, and
This rectangle is quite tiny. Yeah? And then I do agree with you. I like this actually. If you take here, suddenly my queen is entering the position.
Wait,
And-
that's winning?
Yeah, it's winning actually, because after king f8, queen h5, there are a bunch of checks. And somehow black is still under a pin, right? For example, if you move the knight somewhere, takes queen h8, and you lose the queen.
Wow.
Okay, but then question, instead of taking on H5, what if we play G3? Just a thought.
Ah. Okay, edge g6. Okay, if
Yeah,
okay,
we're gonna go all the way.
this
yeah?
has become too complicated for my taste. Okay, check king f1. And now who's winning Sahaj?
That's a good question. I will just stop at that. I have no idea. I think Rook A7 and maybe no one wins, yeah?
But never mind.
Rook A5, Queen B1 check is there, so...
The point is, Nodirbek is up on the clock, so he could totally go for this, yeah?
Yeah.
It's not unlikely for sure.
But Queen B8, 3 minutes, and it's 2 versus 3. It's not really that big of a difference anymore.
But this position is crazy.
Yeah,
I feel like
it
this is like a
it
race,
is.
Mate,
like
too.
who's
But
gonna
that is
go
if-
for.
Okay, for Nodirbek to find G4 is extremely difficult, I think, as well.
Oh, man.
We've been analyzing this position for 15 minutes, and we've calculated all of these different ideas, and then we come up with G4. Nodirbek only has 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, Lakshya saying in the comments, have to say Gukesh is an awesome defender. He is. But if Nodirbek keeps attacking, finds these innovative ideas, it could be too tough with less time on the clock. And what is he going to play?
He's leaning for the queen.
Okay, queen f3.
Queen f3.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, now knight C6.
Yeah.
Have a draw?
Yeah.
I think that's maybe not the most, let's say, aggressive move from Nodirbek. He wants to pick
but
up the
there is
pawn.
nothing else to play here. I think, there was only G4,
G4.
but I think that's... Also, G4 maybe had knight C6 as well, now that I think about it.
G4, knight c6.
Yeah, this also had knight C6, no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
This is simple, yeah. So maybe
You're right.
there was no other option here for Nodirbek in this sense. So Gukesh can just go knight C6, takes queen C3, and we shake hands, and that's it.
Can I go
That's
knight
good
B7?
defense by the world champion, have to agree.
Absolutely.
Can I go knight b7 or rook b1? Oh, wow. Okay, let's go back.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Oh, played and a brilliancy on the board. Let's
Oh.
go. Nice move. Takes on a8. Okay, then it's a dead draw, yeah? Queen takes a8, queen takes c3, and at this point, even I wouldn't lose this. And there it is, handshakes. It's a draw between the world champion and Abdussalam Nodirbek. So that means 4 draws for today, yeah? A very, very exciting day, but the end result was much calmer.
Yes, for sure. I think this is what happens when you have really crazy games. They always end up in a draw. When you have a calm position, it always ends up in a result. But I think a peaceful draw, because I think they're all waiting for the chaos that's about to happen tonight. So I think all of the players are going to just, gearing up for that. But I think great defense by Gukesh overall. And I think a great game by Nodirbek as well.
And I have to say, even though this game ended in a draw, I mean, it wasn't, one of those like clean, sort of boring draws. They definitely gave us a fight. They definitely gave us a lot to analyze also. So it was a great game to follow. And in the end, everything calmed down and a draw happens.
Yep, a draw with the black pieces against Nodirbek is a good result for Gukesh. Of course, Nodirbek also had his own chances, pushed really hard. And, I think a very calm day 4, but of course, day 5 will be tomorrow. And I think the action will continue. Before we end, let's have a look at the pairings for tomorrow. There we see it. I think it's going to be Pranesh versus Hans Niemann. So Hans will be looking forward to his potential first win. And Gukesh versus Arjun. Okay.
Oh.
India number 1 versus the world champion.
Wow. Please don't ask Sahil. I know you're about to ask
So
something.
what
but
do
no.
you think? What are your predictions ahead about the
already
game?
brewing.
I need to digest what I just saw, and I can answer you after the World Cup match. Like after the World Cup final today.
Okay, so I will not ask you prediction for Gukesh. Arjun, so what do you think on Nihal versus Nodirbek?
Let's go back to Gukesh versus Arjun. I think that's an easier call there, but they're all going to be very, very exciting matches, I think. And then we have, of course, Firuza versus Andrekin as well. Firuza in the lead with 3 points, and they will see the results all draws. That puts Firuza at first place once again, and he is the sole leader currently. And Arjun is going to be on 2.5, and then we have 3 people, Andrekin, Nihal, and Nodirbek at 2 points, and then we have Hans, Gukesh, and Pranesh at 1.5 each.
And there it is, Kinshu. I think Firuza on top. So he continues with his lead, but Arjun is right hot on his heels. And his match versus Gukesh, who's, by the way, at the bottom of the table. That's so hard to see sometimes, yeah?
It's a bad tiebreak, I think, at the end of the day. But okay, 3 more rounds remaining. So, of course, the world champion has, 3 more opportunities. He has to play, I believe, against, I think he has to play against Nihal, yeah? Sorry, Arjun. He has to play against Arjun tomorrow, and then Andrekin as well. And, it's going to be an interesting day. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and we also have the Football World Cup tonight, and Sej, I heard that everybody was supporting Spain. Yeah, we are the ones with Argentina. But I want to point out one thing: when Gukesh and Nodirbek were asked their predictions, it was asked before the second semi-final. At that point, the Argentina semi-final had not happened. So if it had happened, maybe Gukesh also would have said Argentina. So we are in the right shape, and we're going to win this one tonight.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be amazing. We'll have, day number 5 tomorrow with you. It's going to be amazing. All the players are going to come back in Chennai at the Western Hotel and try to get their first win. Of course, it's going to be Gukesh versus Arjun and Nihal versus Nodirbek. 2 important clashes. Will Firuza maintain his lead? We'll see tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Take care and good night.